Select Auto Care Centers. Whether you need help diagnosing a problem,
I want to ask you a bunch of questions. I want to have them answered immediately.
or just want to learn about all things automotive,
Hey, how exactly does a Positrack rear end on a Plymouth work?
It just does.
then you've come to the right place. So start your engines, buckle up, and get ready to ride. Drive Radio starts now on KLZ 560 The Source.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome. I'm your host, John Rush. Along with me, Craig Wallace from DIY Automotive, or Auto Repair Shops. I always get that wrong. DIY Auto Repair Shops.
Yeah, well, thanks for
There we
clarifying.
go. Get that right. Isaac Bouchard, Preferred Auto Brokers, our resident auto broker, and we're going to talk about some of the things that are right up his alley. Isaac's only going to be with us till about 11:30 today, so I will encourage you now, if you've got questions about buying, selling, anything at all that has to do with that end of it, we have our expert here, and I talk up Isaac a lot, but I do that because he's one of the smartest guys I know in that end of the industry, and we try to surround ourselves on this show with smart individuals. In fact, most of the times they're a lot smarter than me. Yeah, I'm not sure a lot of you are out there applauding. Yes, yay, yeah, and I know. I'm the dumbest guy in the room most weekends, but I enjoy doing this. Craig Wallace, DIY Auto Repair Shops, also one of our resident experts, and getting text messages from my kid, Richard, about what I was supposed to drive today, but I drove what I wanted to drive, so I'm fine.
What were you supposed to drive today?
He wanted me to drive the Hyundai today, but I drove the Lexus instead.
Smart man.
That's what I thought.
That
Thank
would have
you.
been a wise choice.
Thank you. So, at any rate, we've got Larry Unger, Larry's Automotive, on the other side of the glass helping us out. Our producer, or he's our producer, our engineer is Matt, and you guys on the camera, which is watching us on YouTube. If you're watching, can't see the other. Actually, I got a wider camera, so I've been fiddling around with all this different technology, and one of these days I should probably do a little video on how I make all this stuff work, because I had a question a few weeks ago about how do we do remotes, what technology do we use, etc. So one of these days, once I get all this dialed in, I'll kind of put a list together of how do we do this stuff and how does it work. But because that's not radio stuff, that's more video things, which is totally, as Isaac knows, it's very, very different than doing radio. I have a face for radio, not for video. So,
I'll second that.
Makes it a lot easier when you're on air.
Makes cars seem easy.
Yeah.
Just some of us of a certain generation here.
That's exactly right. So, got a lot to talk about today. Again, call us 303-477-5600. We'd love to chat with you. A few announcements I want to make. I'll get some of these out of the way, not because they're not important, but I just want to make them at the beginning of the hours versus squeezing them in between other things. We do have some new sponsors. In fact, you'll see some of these popping up here in the very near future, first part of June more than likely. But we've got a new tire sponsor, if you would, not a tire company itself, but somebody that can actually help you with your tire purchases. That's probably the best way to say that. So Ken Bauer from Quick Tread, and again, you can buy tires at any one of our Colorado Select Auto Care Centers, but the reality is they're not tire stores. There isn't one of them that will tell you they are. They'll help you with tires, but it is not their main line of things that they do, and I can look at Craig and he'll agree with that, and I can look at Larry on the other side of the glass and he'll shake his head. Same thing. They do it to help the customers, but it's not their first line of what you do, right, Craig?
That's absolutely right.
So I've got a partner now that'll partner with our show. Quick Tread is the name of the company. Ken Bauer is the gentleman's name. We'll be talking more about him. They are a mobile tire installation center is the best way to say that. So they will come to you and do tires. Now, this is for everybody out there. Their main line is, and actually this would be great for Isaac, their main line is the fleet customer. Somebody like myself, that's how I met them. I've got vehicles and they do some of my vehicles, etc. So they'll actually come to your facility, come to your office, do the tire installs, mount them, balance them, do the whole 9 yards right then and there. And their prices, by the way, are as competitive as anybody else. I've checked them. They're right in line with what I wholesale can buy other places. So, Isaac, I'll pass the name even along to you because you probably get some used cars in at times that might need a set of skins, and it'd be a great contact for you to call. And at any rate, that's how we work this. All of us work together. Also, finally have an insurance partner coming on board with us. Paul Leuenberger is his name. Chrome is really the end of the insurance he wants to focus on the most, but that's through American National Insurance. Paul Leuenberger, his number is 303-619-9891. Paul is actually going to come on air with us next week just like Isaac is doing today, and we'll get some tips on, what you should actually have as coverage, not only for your vehicle, but home, life. They'll do the whole 9 yards. Paul will do all of it. And the fact of the matter is, most drivers on the road today are underinsured.
I think that goes without saying.
Just the reality is they're underinsured. They don't understand how things work. They've had an insurance salesman that's been selling them on price, not on what they actually need. And part of why I wanted to partner with somebody here on Drive Radio is you all that listen, you're of the walk of life where, and I'm not trying to be critical here, but you all get this stuff. You're driving. I mean, I can hear from you when you call in. Most of you own 1, 2, 3 cars. You understand what it takes to get from point A to point B. In rare instances, yeah, we have some that call in that really need help, that are struggling, etc. But for the most part, our listening audience gets what's going on. You have some means, and I would guarantee you that most of you are underinsured. If you have any kind of assets at all, for example, you should have an umbrella policy. If you don't, shame on you. You should have. Because if you ever have an accident and something happens and the trial lawyers start coming after you, guess what? You're not going to have anything left. Because they'll come after you for more than what the insurance on the car is. So we'll talk more about that. I'll save some of that thunder for next week. But that's a big topic. Paul was saying yesterday, I met with him, he's like, John, that's kind of a dry topic. Isn't insurance kind of dry? Nobody ever really wants to talk about it. And I said, well, yeah, nobody wants to talk about it until you need it.
That's for sure.
That's really what it boils down to. When you need it, then you really wish you would have gone back and really done the due diligence and had the insurance you need. It's one of those things where that's why they call it insurance. You hope you never have to use it, but you're still paying a premium every month. And when something does happen, you want to make sure that you're covered. So again, we'll talk to Paul next week. A little side commercial for him. But Paul Leuenberger, Chrome Insurance, we'll have him with us next week. So continue to listen in, and we'll have him on next week and talk more about that. Again, today I've got Isaac with us. We're going to talk about, in this first hour especially, I do want to hit on some of the new car technologies. Isaac's really up on that. We'll talk about that. Fuel-efficient cars. I've got a big article that was written by Car and Driver on dealer tricks to watch out for. And there's a bunch of stuff. I'll see if Isaac agrees with some of these things as we go through the show today. But there's some interesting things in there it talks about where if you happen to end up at the dealership buying a car, there's certain things to watch out for. So, again, our goal here is to not put you in that position in the first place. Isaac's with us today, and he's our resident broker, and if you're in the market for a new year's car, we really want you to go see him so you avoid some of those pitfalls that can happen. And for example, I'll give you a story, and I don't know if they're listening. If you guys are listening, I won't use names, but some friends, I'll just say it that way, get a call yesterday. They want me to look at a vehicle for them on Monday and just kind of do a simple pre-purchase inspection, just kind of glance the vehicle over, etc., which I'll be happy to do. It's a friend, and I don't typically do that, but in this situation I will. Craig knows. I just don't do much of that anymore. That's what I have partners in this radio show to do all that with. All of our Car to Select facilities, they do all of that. They do the pre-purchases, do a fantastic job. They'll give you a full printed report of everything you need, etc. In my cases, I'm doing it for a friend, but long story short, call yesterday, and it goes like this, Isaac. Hey, I'm thinking about buying a used truck. I found it on this used car dealer's lot. They're going to go ahead and let me drive the truck for 4 days and test drive it and see whether I like it or not, and if I do at the end of 4 days, I can buy it. To me, that was an instant red flag.
Oh, to me too.
Thank you.
Why would I want something off my lot for 4 days? Why would I want to let's talk about insurance. Why would I want the liability of somebody on my dealer plate for 4 days? It's just,
right.
Sounds wrong.
It does. And I didn't see the paperwork that got signed on how this transaction happened to be able to drive it for the 4 days.
But here's my bet. There's a form you sign on any deal in Colorado, and we normally do it when we deliver the car, and it's a disclosure form. But a lot of dealers will have people sign these before they take the car away, and one of the paragraphs in it alludes to if you took that car and then you didn't buy it, they can charge you for its usage. And a lot of the time I see dealers using that to hold people's feet to the fire so that they can say, well, fine, you can return the car, but you owe us $680.
Right.
It's just a bargaining tactic. It's a very unethical one, in my opinion. But that would just be off the top of my head what I guess is going on.
We will see how this plays out. Let's just say it was a red flag for me, and it should be, by the way, any of you listening, if you find yourself in that circumstance, hopefully you won't, but if you do, that's a red flag. It just is. Typically, there's more going on behind the scenes because, to Isaac's point, you're as a dealer, you're just not going to take those risks. You're just not going to do that, right? I wouldn't. If I was the guy selling that car, I'm not going to. I don't know you from Adam. I'm not going to let you just hop in my car for 4 days and hope it comes back without some sort of stipulation in it.
No,
right?
Dealers have what's called a garage keeper policy for
Correct.
the fleet of vehicles, and the deductible's pretty high. It's typically $1,000 to $5,000. Why would I want someone out in my vehicle when I'm almost certainly going to have to pay out of pocket if they have an accident?
Correct. You don't. Not without some sort of repercussions from that person that's driving it. So, and of course, along with that, he signed, credit check papers and all those sorts of things. So I knew when all of that was going on. There's more to this story than I know about. I'll find out more when I see some of this on, it's either Monday or Tuesday. I'm going to actually go through and look at the vehicle. But those are the things. That was kind of a reminder heading into today's show that, you know what, this stuff happens every single solid day. And it's happening with friends, family, some of you that are listeners, and we want you to avoid some of those pitfalls. Now, I also want to make a disclaimer. I'm not saying every dealer and every used car lot that's out in the Denver Metro Front Range area are bad guys. Please don't take that from what I'm saying. I'm not saying that. There is a lot of very nice, legitimate car people, car dealers, salesmen, etc., that are, looking out for your best interest. And I say there are some. The problem is I don't know all of them. So I can't tell you if you go to such and such dealership, you need to talk to so-and-so to figure out how to get your car deal done. If I did, I could recommend that, and I would, and you'd probably be okay. So guess what? We've taken all of that out of the mix and said, I've got a guy that I can send you to that can do all of that I can trust, that I know is going to take care of you, treat you well, make sure you end up buying the car you need, not the car you want, which we talked about a few weeks ago. And that person is Isaac. And Isaac, that's exactly why you're partnering with us, and that's what you'll do for our people, correct?
Correct. It's really interesting. I get asked this question by a new client. Somebody will get referred to me, and they'll say, well, what do you do? Or explain what it means to work with a broker. And I've tried to encapsulate it or do the elevator pitch and say, here's the 30 seconds, is I'm trying to save people time, because your time has a value. That's really all you have. Do you want to spend your Saturdays or Thursday nights at a dealership or multiple dealerships? 2, hassle, because inevitably there's a hassle at some point in the transaction. I shouldn't say inevitably, 90% of the time there is. And 3, money. But I look at money as more value. There's a value quotient, and the cheapest car is guaranteed not the best car. There's something up with the cheapest car, or it wouldn't be the cheapest car.
Exactly right.
But then talking more about it, you can find great people at lots of dealers in Denver. And lots of dealers in Denver and other places are making a concerted effort these days to make the experience of buying better. They're not stupid people.
Right.
And they realize if they treat you better, you're more likely to come back.
Right.
But the simple facts are the salesman you liked probably won't be there the next time around, or there could be new management team. The management team turnover is the highest. It's much higher than the salespeople. I still work with some of the same salespeople for 20 years, but there's been 5, 6, 7 management teams in there, because when goals aren't met, the owners fire the management team and bring in new managers.
They go out and hire new guys. And, and by the way, just what Isaac's alluding to, when a management team comes in, typically that means there's a lot of turnover on the sales staff. It's rare that a management team comes in and keeps all of the sales staff that were there prior to their arrival, correct?
Correct. And if they and the management team is almost always tasked with improving the bottom line.
Right.
And unfortunately, they make that same mistake that lots of managers do, which is they look at the number one expense is employees, and if we cut their compensation, then right away there's a better bottom line. And they're thinking short term, because I've worked at 3 places as a broker in 23 years, and the only time I left, or the only reasons I left those other 2 places, is because they cut my pay. So you think about that, and why would you cut somebody's pay if they're performing well and you're making money? But I look at it from the standpoint of somebody in sales, not management, and it just doesn't make any sense to me.
All right, hold that thought. We're going to come right back. Continue to listen to us. Open lines, 303-477-5600. Love to chat with you. Give us a call on a beautiful Saturday afternoon here, or it's actually Saturday morning. It'll be afternoon before I get off air, but Saturday morning, 10:15 in the morning. Drive Radio, KLZ 560, The Source.
Reliability. It's what every driver wants from their vehicle. Regardless of make or model, you want your vehicle to take you where you need to go. Reliability is exactly what the Colorado Select Auto Care Centers offer. They've set the standard for excellence in automotive repair and maintenance. Each member offers Napa Auto Care Peace of Mind Warranty, along with the highest level of customer service and integrity. To find a Colorado Select Auto Care Center near you, log on to drive-radio.com. or call 303-546-NAPA.
Right now at Napa, get your favorite flavor of Valvoline Conventional or Max Life Motor Oil for just $3.59 a quart. Buy 5 quarts and you'll also get a $7 mail-in rebate. Yep, $7. Enough to get a plate of bacon with a side of bacon smothered in bacon. Now that's tasty. Conquer the job with Napa Know-How. General states pricing. Sales prices do not include applicable state, local taxes, or recycling fees at participating Napa Auto Parts stores. Offer expires 5/31/14.
Have you ever wished there was a place you could take your car, put it on a lift, and work on it yourself? My name is Craig Wallace, owner of DIY Auto Repair Shops. We have the lift, the tools, and the expertise. We offer a multi-tier program that allows you to do it yourself, technically assisted, or we can fix it for you. Check us out online at DIYAutoRepairShops.com or give us a call at 303-429-4000. Again, that's 303-429-4000. Let us know you heard about DIY on Drive Radio, and you'll receive 50% off your first DIY hour. We look forward to helping you succeed repairing and maintaining your car.
Need a one-stop auto repair solution in northern Colorado? At Fort Collins 4x4 Center, they service and maintain more than just 4x4s. From diesel pickups to economy cars, their team of service specialists and technicians have the computer diagnostics, tools, and expertise to service and repair any make or model. They combine their skills with integrity, giving you the best service in the industry. From preventative maintenance to major repairs, you can trust your vehicle to Fort Collins 4x4, located just a few blocks north of Old Town on College Avenue in Hemlock. They're open Monday through Friday, 7:30 until 5:30, with convenient shuttle service and after-hours drop. If you're ready to form a solid relationship with an auto repair shop, the new owners at Fort Collins 4x4 are committed to providing the professional and personal service you're looking for. Give them a call at 970-482-5500. 970-482-5500. Check them out on the web at FortCollins4x4.com or follow them on Facebook at FortCollins4x4.com.
All right, welcome back, Drive Radio. I'm your host, John Rush, with Isaac Bouchard from Preferred Auto Brokers and Craig Wallace from DIY Auto Repair Shops. Appreciate everybody listening. We have a line open, 303-477-5600. Before we get into our next topic, which we're going to talk about some of the things dealerships and used car dealers, et cetera, can do that you need to watch out for. So hang on to that thought. We're going to take a quick call. They'll go to Michael in Colorado Springs. Michael, welcome. What's going on today? Hello, Michael.
Hey.
How you doing today?
Doing all right. So I'm in a construction inspection trade, and I'm looking at purchasing like a Ford F-150 or a Chevy or some sort of utility vehicle. And I saw an article that really was kind of mind-blowing. And, if you're there in the office, you can probably pull it up. It's on ZeroHedge.com. And it has to do with the amount of inventory, vehicle inventory, brand new vehicle inventory that's sitting out there on lots all over the globe. We're talking about millions and millions of vehicles. So I look at the cost of a new vehicle as compared to a used vehicle, and you're talking about the brokerage services and taking a used vehicle to an auto mechanic. Clearly, I want the most value for my purchase.
Right.
And at the same time, a utility vehicle like an F-150, like a Chevy Silverado, like a Toyota Tundra, is going to have generally a lot of miles and a lot of wear on it, especially the four-wheel drive vehicles with all the energy industry going up on around us in all states.
True.
And besides the simple things like getting the vehicle, you let go of the wheel a little bit, just pull to one side. What are some real flags for these used vehicles that you see and that you can give I guess you could say a small business owners and the like some advice on
Sure. No, we'd be happy to. In fact, and the other thing I would really quickly add is one of the things, and this is something Isaac's really good at and could help somebody like yourself with, is really just sitting down and determining, are you a candidate for buying a new truck in fact, are you a candidate for buying one that, because to your point, sometimes you can find things on dealers' lots that are a year or so old that are still on the lot that have some great incentives to buy, that in some cases for you as a business owner might make more sense to buy a leftover inventory item as opposed to even trying to find a used truck. That's another topic that, again, that's something Isaac could talk to you directly about, because that's a case-by-case basis. But as far as what to look for, I mean, and this is, Isaac, you can chime in. Craig, you guys can chime in. First things first. First things I always want to do when I'm going to go out and look at a used car. So I'm helping a friend, and I'm looking at a car. First thing I'm going to do is do a walk-around. Before I ever open a door and even get inside the car, I'm doing a walk-around. And here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for body damage, dings, dents, condition of paint. I'm looking underneath the vehicle a little bit to see if there's rust. I mean, I'm just doing an overall outer view of what's going on. And at the same time, I'm peering in the windows, but I haven't climbed inside yet. I've just done a general walk around of the vehicle just to see what thing, is there a panel that's been fixed? And if you can see it with the naked eye, that's not a good sign. That means there's been some body damage, if there's a paint mismatch, etc. The other thing I look for, which I'm not sure all used car people even do, I even look at body lines and gaps of hoods and doors. Another indicator where paint might be really good, but did the body guy do his job getting everything lined up before the painter got a hold of it? Because that particular collision center might have had a great paint guy, but maybe they had a crappy body guy. In other words, everything may not be lined up perfect, but the paint looks fantastic. And you've seen some of these things out there. And this is voice of experience talking. After I do all of that, then I climb in the vehicle. I don't start it yet. I'm still climbing in. I'm then looking at what's the condition of the interior. Are the seats in good shape? Are they worn down? What's the condition of the steering wheel look like? What do the brake pads on the pedals themselves look like? What's the rubber condition of the brake pad? Is one edge of it totally worn off, or it looks like a guy's been sliding his foot on and off the brake pedal a ton? If that's the case, it's been in city driving mostly versus highway. All those things I'm looking at. Is there a hole rubbed in the carpet where the guy's foot has sat? If that's the case, it might be a highway car where the heel of the guy's foot has dug into the carpet itself. Those are all the things I'm looking at inside. Then I start it up, run it, drive it, and do a general just kind of a condition check of how does it sound, does it smoke, what's the steering feel like, etc. Guys, what did I miss?
The next thing I'd want to know is are there any history records associated with maintenance done on the vehicle? One of the biggest question marks we have in the industry is how was it maintained in its prior life? If we don't have that information, it's like staring into an empty space. You have no idea what you're in for.
Carfax is another thing you could look at on later model used cars, right?
Yeah, Michael, this is Isaac. So here's what I'm going to say. First, we'll come back to your other question about inventory levels on new stuff versus used, but you're specifically asking about used cars or used trucks. And the first thing I do when I walk up to a vehicle that I'm appraising that somebody might trade in is I feel the back edge of the hood. And if you do this when you're at a dealership, you will freak out the salesperson because they will know you know what you're looking for, and it's a great feeling. So the reason you're feeling the back edge of the hood is you're feeling if it's smooth or if it's rough. Right. If it's smooth, it's probably not been painted. Right. And if it's rough at all, it almost certainly has been painted. Right. And when you're looking for a vehicle that's had paint work on it, which is actually most vehicles by the time they're several years old, the average car's been in an accident once by the time it's 3 years old, or 35,000 miles, and 3 times by the time it's hit 100,000 miles. It's just life in the big city. And if I'm looking at a pickup truck, I'm not nearly as concerned if one side or the tailgate's been painted as I am if it's been hit in the front.
Correct.
So the first thing I'm feeling is around the front panels. And anytime you feel rough edges, it's usually because they lay the tape in there, and and then they paint the car, and then they peel the tape off, and where the tape edge was, there'll be a little rough edge of paint. And a really good body shop will actually sand that down afterwards. And that's an indication that there was a good body shop and good work. Right. And you don't need to worry about it necessarily. But as soon as you start feeling tape edges, you know it's been painted there. And this comes back to what John was saying with Carfax. Carfax has really, in my opinion, misled a tremendous number of people. And it's because they want to be the expert.
That's right.
And unfortunately, about 40% of the cars that have a clean Carfax that do not show body damage have been in an accident. And the fine print is the accident has not been reported to Carfax. And so it's not really the most helpful thing.
And I want to stop Isaac real quick there. The way that happens, by the way, this is everybody listening. So by the way, Michael, great topic that you got us on. I appreciate you calling in and asking this question.
Thank you.
the way some of that happens on the Carfax side is, let's say, I'm in an accident, my deductible's $2,500. The damage, I think, is going to be, I get an estimate and it's $3,000, but I don't want to go through the problem of having it nicked on my insurance records and all those different things. I just go in and get it fixed. I don't claim the claim. I don't do anything about it. I just go and I get it fixed. And by the way, there's deductibles as high as $5,000 in today's world on some commercial policies. So in a lot of cases, us commercial operators, we'll just write the check, get the car fixed, nobody's the wiser, and that never gets to Carfax, to Isaac's point.
Right, and older stuff never got to Carfax. Right. And until Carfax evolves enough where it actually will let you pull up a PDF of what the damage was, I'm not going to trust it, because they misrepresent things and say it's been in a big accident when it hasn't, and that throws people off too. But that's a whole other subject. So back to your point. I look it over, just like John's saying, for mismatched paint, mismatched panels. I don't worry as much about door dings and stuff because I've got all the people to take care of that.
That's right.
I would look on a truck especially at the wear of the tires, but over the whole tread, because dealers are savvy and they'll put the best tires on the front where people first look, and they'll put the best tread on the outside edge where you see it the most clearly. Right. So what you want to do is tilt your head in there and look at the inside edge to see if it's feathered, which is quite common on trucks, or has it worn in an uneven fashion. So that's another one to look at.
And then after that, of course, the things that we can't see with the naked eye, even myself, until you actually get it on a rack, get it in the air, get a flashlight, which, by the way, I always bring a flashlight on an inspection, whether I'm actually going to put it up in the air or not, because even underneath the hood, I'm taking a flashlight and I'm looking, I'm digging, I'm eyeballing all sorts of things. To Isaac's point, you can find overspray inside of trunks, you can find it inside the hood, you can find it up underneath the wheel wells, but a lot of times you won't see it when it's dark and it's sunny outside, because it makes everything underneath darker, actually, when it's sunny outside because of the shadows. That's where a flashlight, like a CSI investigator, really comes in handy. So, I know we've gone kind of a long time, we're running up against a break, but does that help you out, Michael, with kind of, the direction ahead and what to do?
These are great points. I think thanks for sharing them with everyone.
You bet. And I appreciate you calling in. And by the way, we'll give out Isaac's number. In fact, we'll do that right now. Isaac, give the number out to the folks if they've got specifics on, should I buy, a one-year-old new truck? In this particular case, in Michael's case, he may be better off buying a one-year-old new truck that's on a dealer lot somewhere versus actually going out and buying something used that he doesn't know the record of, may not have any more warranty, probably on a truck won't. What's your number? How do they get a hold of you?
You bet. Michael, feel free to call me or anybody else out there at 303-475-1462. Again, that's 303-475-1462.
Tell you what, let's take a quick... Do we have a caller online, by the way? Okay, so I can't see on my screen who it is. Tell me in my ear who I'm talking to. Is it Ray? Is Ray next, guys? Is it Ray? Okay, Ray is up next. Ray, welcome. What's going on today?
Hey, I've got a 91 300 CX.
Okay.
With 92,000 miles, just clicked it, and I'm having an issue with the battery light. It at idle, there's a small red, light that comes on when as soon as I drive off, it goes away. But during idle, it just has a very small buzzing resonant sound that sounds like it's coming from the dashboard.
Okay.
It doesn't seem to be affecting the charging. The battery's fairly new. Matter of fact, I went out this morning, had to go run some errands, drove about 20 miles or so, and brought it back. I keep the car in a battery tender, and within 6-7 minutes, it showed it was fully charged. So the charging system seems to be working. I had it checked once with a shop, and they said it was, running 14.2, 14.3 the voltage, but this little buzzing sound and the little light coming on, I just can't figure out what the heck is going on.
If it really seems to be isolated to idle only, let me ask this question real quick. Does it seem to be worse when the headlights are on? Or does it seem to have any effect?
Headlights, I don't drive it much at night.
Okay.
But it does seem to be a little brighter. It's a low red during the day, and it's a little brighter red, obviously, at night.
Got it.
But when you drive the car during the day, you don't see anything. At night, you still see a little bit of a red, a little bit of a battery light.
Yep, just a little glow.
Yeah, just a little bit of a glow. Now, I must tell you, it does have underdrive pulleys. When I bought the car, that's what it came with.
Okay.
I think you answered your own question. I think the underdrive pulleys at idle are probably getting the alternator low enough RPM where it just doesn't quite have enough output energy to satisfy the light on the dash. Once you get it off of idle, I assume the light is gone.
You know, and I only raise this question because I've talked to a number of, experts in the Nissan world,
sure,
like Concept Z, and they say, well, it doesn't make sense. Usually with underdrive pulleys, that doesn't make a difference. Although, this alternator, since it's natural gas operated, it only has like an 80 amp alternator.
And it's a 91, so we don't know when it's been replaced. And if that's the original alternator, it's done a lot of work up to this point, anyways.
And there certainly could be a problem with the alternator itself, but with the underdrive pulley on top of it, it could certainly just be causing
it just exemplifies that, exactly. To Craig's point, It exemplifies the problem. Now, but to the buzzing noise, if it's undercharging, there are some things on the back side of the dash in that car, some relays, etc., where you could be hearing just not enough voltage getting to a particular component, and that's where the buzzing noise is coming from.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, like I said, I drove it today, 20-something miles, and came back and plugged it in, and within 7-8 minutes, it was full. It showed fully charged according to the battery tender. So
I think you're not getting enough charge. To Craig's point, the alternator itself just isn't putting out enough. And now, this is something else for everybody to listen that's listening should understand also. There's a difference between voltage coming out of an alternator and amps coming out of the alternator, and they're not one and the same. They have to have both. You can have an alternator I've seen in the past where you can see an alternator that's pushing out 13.5, it's fine on the voltage, but it's pushing 10 or 12 amps. It's not enough to keep a battery charged. So they have to be doing both sides of that, and I've seen them where they'll push voltage but no amps. Typically, I don't know that I've ever seen an alternator push amps with no voltage. Somebody will call in and say they have, but I don't typically see, typically that's not the case. It's usually the opposite. They'll do volts, no amps.
Oh, okay. So should I test it like with an oscilloscope, or
you've got to have it? Yeah, you've got to have some sort of an ability to put an amp clamp around the charge wire going into the battery to find out what it's actually charging in amperage.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
It doesn't seem to be affecting anything charging-wise. I'm just.
Yep.
It's just that.
That's an annoyance, and it's a telltale sign that something else is going to happen down the road. So I'd still look at it and get it fixed.
Are you thinking alternator?
Possibly, yes.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, while I've got you on the line, I listen to you guys all the time. Donnie hasn't been on the show lately. Is everything okay with Donnie?
Donnie just decided to go a different direction. He's fine. Everything's good with him. He's got stuff he's doing with his family, etc. And so you're not going to hear him on air with us.
I understand. Okay.
All right.
Listen, thank you so much.
You're very welcome, Ray. Appreciate the phone call. And with that, let's go to a quick break. We'll come back. We've got a line open. 303-477-5600 is our phone number. And I'm your host today, John Rush, KLZ 560, The Source. Having transmission problems? Stop by Larry's Automotive today. We're your only Colorado Select Auto Care in North Denver that also specializes in automatic and manual transmissions. We're a family-owned small business taking care of your family-owned fleet of cars, trucks, and SUVs since 1994. We specialize in transmission and drivetrain problems and offer a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty. We're also an ATRA member. Call us at 303-427-2108 for an appointment or find us on the web at coloradoselect.com. Larry's Automotive, a proud member of Colorado Select Auto Care.
K&N's premium oil filters are very different. They make oil changes easier. K&N's wrench-off oil filters have a 1-inch nut welded on the top, so you can easily change the filter with a wrench or ratchet. And used with a Ziploc freezer bag, you can even remove a K&N oil filter with no oil spillage at all. Another great product from K&N, an American manufacturer since 1969.
Cleaning out the garage and cleaning up the yard means spring cleaning. Don't forget to clean up your car. Arvada West Auto Season need in vehicles for spring maintenance after a cold, snowy winter takes its toll on your vehicle. We want to help you keep safe and your car running smoothly. Our ASE certified technicians are experts at what they do. Ask us about our 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty. Let us and the power of Napa Auto Care keep you on the road. Call Arvada West Auto 303-422-1065. Stop by 11752 West 64th Avenue or visit us on the web at arvadawestautoandtruck.com, where every question is important. See you soon.
Drive Radio is a presentation of Colorado Select Auto Care Centers. The independently owned and operated shops of Colorado Select hold each other accountable for the highest standards of technical expertise, honesty, and professionalism. They all understand that choosing a mechanic is risky business, so Colorado Select was created by this exclusive group of like-minded professionals who are dedicated to raising the level of consumer confidence in Colorado's auto repair industry. Schedule your next oil change at any of the Colorado Select Auto Care Centers heard on Drive Radio, and you'll immediately see the difference. For the complete list of all the member shops in the state, visit drive-radio.com.
All right, here we go. So we were just talking through the break, and some of you on YouTube can watch us talk and do things. We were talking about, inventories, et cetera. We're going to talk about some of these pictures that we just got tipped off on from Michael a minute ago. But we were also talking about, Chrysler, Fiat, the arrangement they have. And I learned this last week, and most people out there don't know this, and this wasn't highly publicized early on. I think some of this is just coming to surface. I mean, it was a fact, but did enough digging, you probably could have found it. But back during the recession, there were so many other things going on. They were kind of, focus was in different directions. But most people don't realize this. Fiat bought into Chrysler initially back in the bankruptcy time frame. They got a 20% stake of Chrysler by doing nothing more than agreeing to bring their management team on board and produce fuel-efficient cars within X amount of time as the agreement with the U.S. government and the bankruptcy court to buy 20% of the company at that point. And to this day, with the exception of the last buyout they did with the auto workers, where there was some health care, and one of the funds actually still owned about 40% of Chrysler up until just recently. It wasn't until then, and I think Fiat put in about $1.3 billion of Fiat's actual money at that point in time to buy Chrysler, which the total package, when it was all said and done, they only paid about $4 billion for Fiat when it was all said and done. Cerberus actually, bought them several years earlier for $7.9 billion. Mercedes paid $32 billion. So everybody lost money on it until Fiat came along, and everybody kind of always thought Fiat as this unknown, product that, we in America thought, fix it again, Tony. That was kind of the slogan of Fiat. We all know that. We all laugh and make fun of Fiat. Well, Fiat saved Chrysler, and Chrysler has also now saved Fiat, because some of these pictures, I say all that to get back to the pictures that we're looking at on the website Michael told us about. The majority of the pictures on there, A, are not fresh, and B, are in the UK. And the reason why I know some of these aren't fresh, I can look at the makes and the models of the cars that are in the pictures, and they're not brand new vehicles. They're not fresh. These pictures, I would say, some of these are 3 or 4 years old, maybe even longer than that. And one of these pictures of the cars all around the racetrack I saw during the middle of the recession. So I know for a fact that picture is old. Isaac, what is today's inventory levels in the U.S., not talking worldwide, but where are we at in the U.S. as far as levels go?
So here's how it's supposed to work, and this is the MBA guys saying this. They're saying that there should be 60 days of cars in the pipeline.
Okay.
That means there's some on the lot that you'll buy, there's more stuff coming in every day, but the dealers aren't holding on to too many cars at once. And a lot of the time the dealers have a loan called floor plan financing to pay for these cars. So they don't want to have too many cars sitting around because they're paying interest to a bank or to, say, General Motors financing or whoever. So what they want is they want an ideal number of days of supply, and that's 60. When things get really hot, we drop down to about 30 days of supply, and that's when the dealers can get away with charging sticker price and no discounts. Right. And when things get bad, we get up to 120, 180 days supply, right, and that's when the cars are sitting around. Right. Well, right now, we're at about 60 to 65 days of supply. This is ideal, and it means that the deals are there, but there's not a lot of them, and it means that there's enough inventory to go around. Right.
That's great way to say that, and I've watched the same thing. So, Michael, if you're still listening, I don't know how much stake I would put in this particular article, and I will do more reading on this, by the way, in the very near future. So, in the week ahead, actually, I'll read more about this and find out. One thing I'll caution everybody on, and I have to watch myself on this as much as anybody. Not everything you read in print on the internet is true.
What?
Let me say that again.
You got to be kidding me.
Not everything on the internet is true. So while there's a lot of great information out there, and I'm not dissing any particular entity out there that puts things on the internet, etc. I'm not saying that all of it is false. There's a nugget of truth in probably everything that's out there. The question is where you're pulling the nuggets from and who you're believing, and just make sure you do your research and you can back up what you're seeing, because this particular article would make you, it gives the impression that there's just this massive amount of new cars and inventory all over the world, and they're just piling up and piling up and piling up. And case in point, here in North America especially, that's not the case, as Isaac just stated. So, Isaac, and by the way, Isaac's right. I've known that for years and years and years. We want a 60 to 90-day supply. That's the rule of thumb that all the manufacturers use to keep cars in the pipeline. That becomes ideal. Any more than that, and you end up with a glut. And there's really great deals on the lots because the manufacturers want to get rid of them. But by the way, that's not really great for the economy, because that means they're losing money. And then people are getting laid off of assembly lines and so on. So we don't want that either. So
that's not good for you either, because your trade-in's not worth as much.
That's exactly right.
So anytime a manufacturer has to put a big rebate or an incentive, they say on the hood, anytime they put money on the hood of a new car, late model used cars of the same make and model drop in value by about the same amount. So when GM, let's just use an example. Chevrolet puts $2,000 rebates on the hood of all the Silverado pickups. Your used Silverado is probably now worth about $2,200 less. They've tracked this. So it's not good really for anybody. You want an ideal day's supply. That keeps the dealers making money but not ripping people off, and it means that you as a consumer aren't paying too much, but your trade-in's worth good money too.
Exactly right. Guys, we got lines open. Give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. 303-477-5600. Call us. It doesn't have to be a new car, used car question. We took one a minute ago about an alternator on a Datsun, 91 Datsun. We'll take anything. It doesn't matter what it is. Some of you that are breaking some of the old cars out, getting ready for the summer months, car shows. There's a bunch of car shows going on this weekend. Somebody was talking to me yesterday. Actually, Paul, our insurance guy, was talking to me yesterday. There were like 4 or 5 car shows just this weekend alone going on. I think the weather finally got a little bit nicer. We're looking out to the west, and it looks very beautiful. So nice day for them. So yeah, there's a lot going on. Some of you are just getting things out for the first time. You know what? If you've got a question on something, by all means, give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. 303-477-5600. Okay, so we go to a dealership. Here's some of the things, the tricks. The title of this article from Car and Driver is Car Dealer Tricks to Watch For. And so these are things that you need to be careful of. Number one, and I want Isaac to chime in on this as we go along. Craig's even got a story he can share in a moment, but altering the bill of sale. That's one big no-no that you should watch for. And for example, never sign a bill of sale with blanks or terms that are, for example, subject to bank approval or have similar wording on them.
Well, let's be careful about how we talk about this, because we're talking to people in Colorado.
Which is
and in
different.
Colorado,
Right.
The bill of sale doesn't have blanks like that.
Right.
It's the buyer's order.
Right.
That they will handwrite things on, terms and conditions. Colorado is just a little different from other states, that's all.
But yeah, to Isaac's point, just make sure. And by the way, this isn't just with the bill of sale, because in our case, yeah, the bill of sale is a very formal document in the state of Colorado, and if that gets altered, there's other big things that can happen. But just make sure the contract, that's probably a better way to say it, make sure the contract you sign to buy the car, whether it's in this state or somebody else's, has on it everything that you want, and there's nothing else added to it. One thing I also know that has happened in this town, because it's happened to us as a family, credit reports can be forged. And what I mean by that is your credit apps, lying about the credit score, things along those lines can happen at dealerships. I've seen it happen. I've had an individual family member here with a dealership here in town where that actually happened, and I ended up getting an attorney involved and et cetera, and when it was all said and done, we got things taken care of. But it's sad that I had to go that route to get that handled, when in fact it should have just been taken care of right off the bat, because you could tell right off the bat it wasn't his signature. Even the original credit application wasn't this particular family member's signature.
So things have gotten better in this regard. They've gotten more difficult and time-consuming for dealers, but they've gotten better for consumers. As part of all the efforts to combat identity theft and identity fraud, they put a lot of things in place for dealers called red flag laws. We now have to hold on to information in a secure way for 7 years, and we have to really try to verify that you are the person who
you say you are.
Say you are, yes. And when we're loading your information into the computers to get you approved on a car loan, we almost always have to ask you questions, these really odd questions, and that's because almost all of us use our cell phone as our phone now,
right.
and the credit bureaus don't seem to get that, so they are looking for a home phone number, and we'll get this little red flag that says that cell phone or that phone number doesn't match this person. Well, of course it doesn't. That's a cell phone number.
That's right.
So they're lagging a little bit behind, but I would say it's definitely better, and there's another law that is national, and dealers now have to tell you what your credit score is. They can't get away with saying, you only scored as a 653 your subprime credit when you're actually maybe 700.
Got it, because that changes interest rates, by the way.
That changes interest rates, but I'm going to put in one thing here that's critical to know, and I can tell you this as somebody who is in the middle of trying to buy his condo, is your car credit score is different from your general credit score, is different from your home credit score. They've gotten more sophisticated, I guess we could use that term loosely, about how they track your credit. So let's say during the recession you made all your credit payments on your car loan on time, but maybe you let some credit card payments slide.
Got it.
Your credit score for a car might be higher than your general credit. Or let's say you always made your credit card bill payments on time,
but skipped a car payment.
Your car credit score will be lower.
I didn't know that.
So I still always want people to go to MyFICO and get their free credit scores, but don't take that as gospel.
Because it may vary from that depending upon what you're trying to buy.
50 to 60 points.
Got it.
I know this because my general credit score is substantially higher than my home mortgage score because I haven't had a house in 14 years.
Got it.
So it applies to cars as well.
All right, hold that thought. We're going to take a quick break. One line open is all 303-477-5600. Give us a call. We'll get you right on air when we come back. Isaac Bouchard, Craig Wallace. I'm your host, John Rush. KLZ 560, The Source.
Do you have the need for speed?
If so, Extreme Auto Repair is the place for you. Extreme Auto Repair specializes in vehicle restoration and performance enhancements that'll get you where you need to go with speed and style. With their knowledgeable staff and professional service, they can answer any questions you have to get your vehicle running the way you've always dreamed it could. Extreme Auto Repair in Parker. Give your vehicle the attention it deserves. Mention this ad to receive $25 off any service or repair at Extreme Auto Repair in Parker.
Ever try to buy an air filter and get lost in catalogs and vehicle descriptions? Well, K&N, the inventor of reusable cotton filters, has got the answer to the mess. Just visit knfilters.com and enter your vehicle identification number off your dashboard or car registration, and K&N will show you the filter that fits your car. It's never been easier to buy a K&N, the filter that helps your car run better.
Ah, summer. A time of fun, sun, high temperatures, and the ultimate family road trip. Before embarking on the ultimate family adventure, bring your vehicle over to John's 4x4 Center on Arapahoe in Boulder for a little TLC. Our summer maintenance inspection includes pressure testing your air conditioning system, checking your coolant levels and tire pressure, testing your battery, inspecting your hoses and belts for cracks, cuts, and bulges, testing your transmission, power steering, and brake fluids. Having your vehicle inspected before a long road trip can keep you on the road, not stuck beside it during your vacation. John's 4x4 is under new ownership as of January 2014. Stop by and see what's new. Located on Arapahoe Road just east of 63rd behind Carpet 1, we are open to serve you Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. with shuttle service and after-hours drop. Give us a call at 303-449-2640. Follow us on Facebook or check us out at johns4x4.com.
Grab a Napa bucket for $2.99, and everything you fit in it is 20% off. What can you fit in the bucket? A radiator? No. 10 oil filters and 756 pine tree air fresheners? With some elbow grease, maybe. Get your Napa bucket today and save 20% off everything you pack in it. Conquer the job with Napa Know-How. Some exclusions apply at participating Napa Auto Parts stores while supplies last. Offer expires 5/31/14.
24 seconds. I timed it. It took me just 24 seconds to find a AAA certified master mechanic who offers the best peace of mind warranty in the state. A 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on every repair. At ColoradoSelect.org, I search my city and boom, I'm done. Colorado Select Auto Care puts their member shops through a rigorous set of requirements, so I know no matter which shop I choose, I'll get the best auto repair service possible. That's 24 seconds well spent. ColoradoSelect.org.
All right, before we go to some of our other dealer tricks, we got a couple of calls lined up, and as always, I like to take the calls first, so if you guys keep calling in, we'll push some of these topics off, but we want to talk to you. 303-477-5600 is our number, and you guys always come first, so Wayne and Greeley, welcome. What's going on today?
Good morning, John. How are
Hey,
you?
good to see you, and thanks for coming out to the remote a couple weeks ago.
Oh, that was a lot of fun, John. I
Sure
really
appreciate
enjoyed
it, Wayne.
Hey, I got a question since you're talking about new vehicles. You know, I've got this new 2013 Savannah,
Right?
and I've always worried about it since the first time I saw it. When I first crawled under it, which was about 2 weeks after I bought it or something, I noticed there's a small skid plate sort of on the main frame underneath there, right in the middle, and it had some deep scratches in it that had been painted over.
Okay.
And so then that kind of gave me a red flag, and I looked around under there. I saw nothing on the pan or the transmission pan or anything up front that would indicate that it had been damaged up there, but they evidently did hit something down underneath there, which, you know, it can happen to, a parking block or anything.
That can actually happen coming off the transport truck, too. I've seen that many times.
That's true, too. Well, my main question was, should a person, later on see something that looked like it could have been damaged, can you ever trace any of the damage that a dealer does to these vehicles that may have been repaired and not repaired quite right or anything? Can that ever be traced at all?
Wayne, this is Isaac. So, no, you can't. And something most people are not aware of, somewhere around 20% of all new cars have prior damage on them. It happens in the factory. I have two General Motors plants, and they have a separate paint area where a car gets damaged on the line. It's diverted in there, and they fix it right there in the factory. And then it can get damaged in transport, and it can get damaged on the lot. And so you combine all those things, and it's about 20% of all new cars have had some paint work or something repaired. That'll never be on the Carfax, by the way.
Right.
And I wouldn't necessarily worry about it on a van. That's a long wheelbase vehicle, and as they come off those transport trucks, sometimes they almost just get a little high-centered there. If you didn't find anything else, I wouldn't worry about it personally.
We unloaded, Wayne, this is a story back from my past, which I was a young kid, and one of my jobs used to be when I was first at the dealership was to check in the cars when they came off the transport truck. And actually, I enjoyed doing it, other than when it was 10 below outside. But it was actually kind of a fun job. You had to get the vehicle off the transport truck, so you knew when it rolled in. You'd go out, you'd watch the driver unload it, and then you'd inspect each vehicle and mark down all of the damage or no damage, to Isaac's point, that was on the vehicle. We had a transport driver one day unload a Suburban. So you can think long wheelbase Suburban, transfer cases hanging down, of course. This guy runs this thing, and you have to realize what I'm talking about here. And sorry, transport drivers, I'm going to give everybody a little secret. Those guys drive like stinking maniacs. At least they did when I used to do this. Now, maybe times have changed, but I doubt it, because they're in a hurry, they're getting load in, they're trying to get to the next stop, so on and so forth. Sometimes they've got to get a car off that's, say, for example, they show up at the Chevy dealership, but there's 3 Toyotas behind it. Because, by the way, the same transport company here in Denver is delivering them all over the lots, all over this area, and even on the western slope, etc. They come on rail cars to Denver, they get offloaded, they go to a big lot, they go from the lot onto trucks, and they get trucked out to the dealers. That's how we get cars to where we're at. So anyways, this particular day, this guy's got a Suburban up front. He unloads a couple of cars. He's going to unload the Suburban. He backs his Suburban off at about 30 miles an hour and rips the entire transfer case right out from underneath the Suburban. I'm not exaggerating. It's on the ground. So, to Isaac's point, can that damage happen? I've seen it firsthand, and yes, it does.
Well, I was just curious. I haven't seen anything wrong with it. I love the van. I love the way it drives, and
you're
I
probably
don't have
fine.
any problem with it.
Yeah, you're probably
I did have
good.
one quick question. I mentioned to you, John, when I was down there that day. Have you? And probably you could cover it later on, but that bit about the oil made from natural gas.
I have, you know what, and I'm glad you brought that up. I have not checked any of that out yet, mainly because I'm going out to a oil manufacturing plant, Universal Oil, who's a company that we get a lot of our oil from inside of our Colorado Select group. I'm flying out there, not this Monday, but a week from Monday. I'm flying out, so the week of Memorial Day week, I'm going to fly out and actually see what's going on, how that process works. These are some of the questions that I'll ask them. So stay tuned. The week after next, I'll have a show just about oil, what I learned. We're going to take some video, put it on YouTube. It'll be a fun experience, and I'll get all that covered then.
Thank you, John.
You betcha, Wayne. Appreciate the phone call. Let's go to Fred, who is next. Fred, welcome.
Hi, how you doing, fellas?
Doing great. Thanks for calling us.
I've got an 02 Nissan Pathfinder with the 3.5-liter V6, and we were doing a long-haul drive back from Spokane. We stopped at the national parks on the way and made the final trip back in from Grand Teton, and we were just south of Fort Collins, and the vehicle started making a clacking sound, not a good sound. We pulled over right away and got it towed here into town, and got a diagnosis, and I believe something's wrong with the top end on it.
Okay.
And so it wasn't good. I got some quotes on what it would cost to get like a Jasper engine, and I just wanted to kind of run that by you about what we should do and what the options might be.
Great question, by the way. And this one, if we don't get it covered, we've got about 3 minutes before the break, which is news, which is a hard break. We can't do anything about it. So if I can't cover all of this, I will as soon as we come back at the top of the hour. So we'll just hang tight. But to start with, first question is, how many miles are on the vehicle, what's the condition, and how long do you plan on keeping it?
It's 160-something thousand. The vehicle's in great condition. It's the LE model.
Okay.
We just had all the fluids replaced, differential, tires in good shape. So other than that, it ran great the whole trip.
Okay.
Fred, this is Isaac. So I've had people with those vehicles. They're a terrific vehicle, the 3.5. And that thing's probably worth $5 to $7 grand retail, maybe $10 grand retail, but more like $5 to $7 grand retail if the engine was good. So hopefully that'll help you figure out where the value is and what you're going to spend on this replacement motor.
Yeah, and to Isaac's point, at the end of the day, really, and this reason why I asked is, if you're the original owner, vehicle's in great shape, interior's good, you've known all the history of it, you're a better candidate for putting an engine in it, paying that money, keeping it another 7 to 10 years, because that's how long you're going to have to keep it to get the value back out of the engine, because you're going to spend $4,000 or $5,000 putting an engine in this car. So you're going to have to keep it longer term or pass it down to a family member or something like that. That makes that decision a little bit easier. If you're just looking at it financially speaking, it's hard to justify a new engine on a car financially speaking, because you've got to keep it long enough to make it worth your while. Does that make sense? In other words, you can't put an engine in it and sell it tomorrow and get your money back. It won't happen.
Well, if you owe no money on it, you can at least get the money back out
for the engine, but you're still going to lose on the overall car itself.
Yes, but if the car is only worth $500 as it is versus $6,000 with a $5,000 engine in,
correct,
you might have to.
Correct.
I got a quote of like $8,000 to have the engine installed. It's a shop there in Parker. My son's he just graduated and he's going on to grad school, so hopefully this would last him through grad school is what we're hoping.
That seems high. If you're in Parker, call Dennis over at Extreme. And by the way, Dennis is our resident Nissan expert, so he knows the Nissans better than anybody else in our group does. Call Dennis at Extreme. Have him look at it, give you a price on it. That is definitely worth having a second opinion on, by the way, because at $160K, you may not even need an entire engine. You may be able to do the top end of it, do some things internally. And again, I don't want to say all that without looking at it, so have Dennis take a peek at it, at least have him look at the paperwork, the estimates, etc., and see if there's anything else he can do for you, because that does sound high.
Okay, that's what I thought too.
All right, and we'll help you out that way.
Okay.
All right, Fred, thanks for the call. Great question, by the way. We appreciate it. Great first hour. Thanks for everybody that's called in. Lines are open. Call us. We'll get you loaded up for this next hour, 303-477-5600. I've been your host, John Rush, along with Craig Wallace from DIY Auto Repair Shops, Isaac Bouchard from Preferred Auto Brokers, and Isaac's only going to be with us another half an hour. So if you got any other car questions along the lines of new, used, what to buy, etc., call us now. We'll have him for about another half an hour, and then he's going to bolt out of here and go sell a car, hopefully. So that's the idea. So with that, we're going to be right back. Hang on to the news. Don't go away. I'm your host, John Rush. Drive Radio, KLZ 560, The Source.
Drive Radio is a presentation of Colorado Select Auto Care Centers. The independently owned and operated shops of Colorado Select hold each other accountable for their highest standards of technical expertise, honesty, and professionalism. They all understand that choosing a mechanic is risky business, so Colorado Select was created by this exclusive group of like-minded professionals who are dedicated to raising the level of consumer confidence in Colorado's auto repair industry. Schedule your next oil change at any of the Colorado Select Auto Care Centers heard on Drive Radio, and you'll immediately see the difference. For the complete list of all the member shops in the state, visit drive-radio.com.
It's great to come together. It's great to have meetings. It's great to talk and shake hands and put names to faces and reinforce what we know, what we believe, hear different views and ideas. It's all part of the process. It's a very social process, one that I enjoy very much. But it's also about mobilizing, organizing, mobilizing, activating, and doing things. We made it quite clear that this seat in CD4, Cory Gardner's old seat, is one that the Republicans have to hold on to. So right now it's our opportunity as part of the grassroots, as part of the Tea Party or the Liberty Movement here in Colorado, to really influence who the right person is to wear the Republican hat heading into the general election.
Wake up with Randy Corcoran, mornings at 5 on KLZ 560, The Source.
This is the legendary KLZ, AM 560, KLZ HD Denver, and online streaming at 560thesource.com. Since 1922. KLZ Denver.
This is the Blaze Radio News. I'm Greg Moore. With the resignation of the VA Undersecretary of Health, conservative commentator Charles Krauthammer says this administration has a problem holding people accountable. The Blaze Radio's Tom Peace reports.
The resignation of VA Undersecretary for Health Robert Petzl is not pleasing the critics. Petzl, already with plans to retire, conservative commentator Charles Krauthammer says the president never holds any high-level executives in the administration accountable. Krauthammer on Fox News Special Report.
And we have not had a single example of a significant high-level official in any of these scandals. Benghazi, IRS, the eavesdropping with AP, the Rosen scandal, any of these at all. And it looks as if you can simply sail through, that there is zero accountability. This administration loves the word accountability. It has never actually exercised it.
This is news on the Blaze Radio Network.
Everyone is making the switch to the Blaze to make it their source for the truth. Why not make it your source for the truth? Make theblaze.com your homepage for news that the other outlets won't even touch. Subscribe to The Blaze TV at theblaze.com/TV or on Dish Network and get access to original programming like For the Record, the show that exposes what's really going on that the government doesn't want you to know. And Real News, the daily conversation on the topics of the day that matter most. Check out the Blaze Radio Network at theblaze.com/radio with original shows like Buck Sexton, The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson, Pat and Stu, and Jay Severin. Or, if you need something to hold in your hands, subscribe to The Blaze magazine. So basically, anywhere you need to go, you can take the truth with you by taking the Blaze with you. This is The Blaze. Truth lives here. So just to recap, anywhere you need to go, you can take the truth with you by taking the Blaze with you. Find out all the ways at theblaze.com.
The Blaze Radio News on KLZ 560 The Source.
Wake up with Randy Corcoran, Monday morning at 5 on legendary KLZ 560, The Source.
Being an expert on general automotive knowledge, what would the correct ignition timing be on a 1955 Bel Air Chevrolet with a 327 cubic inch engine and a 4-barrel carburetor?
It is a trick question.
Watch this.
The Chevy didn't make a 327 in 55. The 327 didn't come out till 62. And it wasn't offered in the Bel Air with the 4-barrel carb till 64. However, in 1964, the correct ignition timing will be 4 degrees before top dead center.
Get ready for another hour of Drive Radio, brought to you by Colorado Select Auto Care Centers. Got a question for the experts? Then give them a call, 303-477-5600. Now it's time to pop the hood and get our hands dirty. Drive Radio on KLZ 560 The Source.
All right, and we like getting our hands dirty every week, and we've done this show now for 18 plus years. We appreciate everybody that listens, and Some of you might get tired of hearing this, but you know, it's just the way it is. This is how our show works, but I'll continue to push it. If you like what you hear and you like what we do each and every week, and I know a lot of you have saved money by listening to our show. I know that because you've either emailed me or told me in person that we've been able to help you in various different ways. So you know what? If you like our show and you like to see us on air, use the people that sponsor our show. And those are all of our Colorado Select Napa Auto Care Centers. Craig Wallace from DIY Auto Repair Shops is one of those. Larry from Larry's Automotive is another. We've got multiple shops, a dozen actually, inside of our Napa Colorado Select Auto Care group. You can find them at coloradoselect.com. Also on top of that, use folks like Isaac. You know, if you're going to go buy a newer used car, don't try to go in and do all that negotiating and everything on your own. Give Isaac a call. At least give him a shot at seeing if he could actually come in some way, shape, or form, either save you time, money, both. I mean, time is money to his point earlier. But my point is, go to our website, drive-radio.com. Look at our sponsors that are there. You know, K&N Engineering is another one. If you're going to put an air filter in a vehicle, buy a replaceable or a changeable, cleanable element, a K&N filter. You know, all those different things. If you're going to listen to our show and you like us and you like what we do, you know, the guys that actually make this show happen, you know, we don't get a paycheck from KLZ to do this show. It's all done and handled by the sponsors that you hear mentioned through ads on our website, etc. Those are the people that make sure that you have a show to listen to each and every week inside this Denver market for the past 18 years. So we're not going away. We've got great sponsors. But my point is, those of you that are out there, if you've benefited from what we do on this show, which I know a lot of you do, use our sponsors. I'm just simply asking you to do that. I believe in them. I talked to one of our sponsors that's going to be coming on board with us here in the very near future. Here's something else you should all know. I personally will not endorse any one of the sponsors we have if I didn't believe in them. Just won't do it. We don't have multiples of auto brokers that are out there because I just want to see the revenue come in from, you know, commercials, etc. And so I just have 5 of Isaacs out there. No, I don't do that. Why? I want Isaac to be successful. I want him to be our broker, and I believe in what Isaac does. And you know what? That's all I need. I don't need 10 of them to do that. I don't need 2 of them to do it. I've got Isaac, and that's all I need. Likewise, when we bring an insurance guy on with us, Paul from Chrome, same situation. We're not going to have 5 insurance brokers. We try to give some exclusivity because we know those guys work hard for the dollars that they put into this show, and we want to be able to reciprocate by not having that spread too thin. So use those folks. That's why you also don't see a Colorado Select Auto Care Center a block from one another. We also give those guys some territory to make sure they've got revenue coming in off of the show that helps them pay for the show. Guys, this is economics. You know, we can talk all we want. There's no secrets here. It is economics. Our sponsors have to have money spent with them to be able to then in turn spend money back here so that I then can spend money with KLZ to get this show on the air each and every week. That's how it works. There's no secrets here. So if you like our sponsors, if you like us as a show, please use our sponsors. I'm heavily endorsing them at this moment. I have been for a number of years. I like them. They wouldn't be with us if it wasn't a part of what we do, and I didn't like them, and I could not endorse them. If I couldn't use them myself, I wouldn't have them on our show. So that's my little commercial for our sponsors. Use them. Most of all, call us. We want to hear from you, 303-477-5600. We talked the first hour about new cars, used cars, had some calls that came in. Isaac, is there anything else we need to follow up on in the last 20 minutes or so you're here?
Well, let's finish up with Fred's question before we move on. During the break, Craig and I were talking about this, and I wasn't aware of this company, Jasper, out of Indiana, that will sell
on the
you
engines?
a remanufactured engine or transmission
with a 100,000-mile warranty.
100,000-mile warranty. Boy, I could have used those guys in the
Parts
past.
and labor.
Yeah.
It's astonishing.
It's great. And they have great. And I have, by the way, toured their plant, so has Craig. They do a fantastic job. You really are getting a new engine when it goes back in. There's a few old pieces that are getting reused, but for the most part, that's why they can give you a 100,000-mile warranty.
Okay, so here is my thought on this, Fred, and I don't know everything about this, and you can feel free to call me after the show if you'd like at 303-475-1462. But you will never find an equivalent used vehicle for your son, I believe it was, to take to college for roughly $6,000, which, I mean, I'm not the mechanic here, but that seems more along the lines of what the installation of a remanufactured engine should cost. So I'm just going to go with that number based on other cars I've done. So you're never going to find a good $6,000 car that will remotely match what your car will be with that engine in it.
It's a great point.
It seems an easy one for me.
That's a great. No, I think it's an easy one too. I'm a little bit nervous about the $8,000 price. That's the only thing that scared me. So yeah, Fred, if you're listening, take our advice. Go see Dennis over at Extreme. Have them do a double check of what's going on. You know, maybe there's more things they're replacing that's adding to the price. I'm not sure exactly what that would be on a 160,000 mile vehicle. I don't know if they're doing the transmission at the same time or something along those lines, but even that, none of that sounds right. So again, get a second opinion. To Isaac's point, though, and he brings up a great topic, and Craig and I have had this conversation many, many times with customers of ours in the past. You can't, to Isaac's point, you can't go replace that vehicle for the price of the engine. So put an engine in it and drive it. That's the reality. And really, even if it's $8,000, and I know that sounds high, and I wouldn't do 8 because I think there's other people that'll do it cheaper, to Isaac's point, but that's a car that you could put that money into, have your boy keep driving it, get another, gosh, 4, 6, 7 years out of it easily. You amortize that out over that time. There's still value left over at the end of that because it's got a great engine in it, and it runs and it works, and it probably will even have some warranty left on it at that point in time. Now you're going to get your $5,000 or $6,000 back even after you're done driving it. So yes, putting an engine in at that point is an easy decision.
And John had brought up some of these other things on this Car and Driver article I wanted to touch on before I moved on. There's a couple things here that are really, really, really good, really basic stuff that many people are not aware of. And one of them is dealers are usually going to try to get you to talk payment.
Right.
The reason they get you to talk payment is it gives them more latitude to pack profit into the deal.
Right.
And this is funny for me because I get a new customer and I do want to talk payment with them because that is what their needs are. If I'm going to meet your needs and I try to get you a car that's $550 a month and you only want to be at $350 a month, I'm not serving your needs. So it's a different mentality, but at a dealership, payments really should never be talked. Price should be talked because payment is based on price.
Right.
And if you get the right price, the payment will take care of itself.
That's right.
So that's essential. Next.
Yeah, and stop real quick, Isaac. I've heard so many people, family members, etc. Hey, I bought a new car. Really? What'd you buy? Well, I bought such and such. What'd you pay for it? Well, it's $359.99 a month. I'm like, no. What'd you pay for the car? Well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, how real quick, how long is your loan? Well, I got a 84-month loan at $399. I said, great. So multiply $399 times 84, and that's what you just paid for that car. Literally, that's the price.
Yep.
Most people in their minds, it's funny, Isaac, they look at you with this blank stare like, no, that's not what I paid. I'm paying $399 a month. I said, no, you're not. If you paid for that car every month solid for the next 84 months or whatever the long term, whatever the term of the loan is, and some are 84 months now, that's what you're paying for the car.
This is terrifying to me, but the average car loan length is now over 72 months. When I started, it was 48 months, and it went to 60, and I'm still really comfortable with 60, and occasionally I'll help someone get a 72-month note. But I see it. They're doing 84-month terms, and they're doing 72-month terms as the average now.
Yep.
And I will throw in one more bit of advice. If you're thinking of a term that long, you really should be talking about a lease because so much can happen in 7 years to any of us. Think of how much each of us has changed in 7 years. Imagine that car 7 years hence. I'd much rather somebody have the same payment on a 3-year lease, and at the end of those 3 years, they can decide if they want to maybe buy the car, turn the car in, does it meet their needs anymore, than in 84 months. That's just terrifying.
The problem, and what happens is on 72 months, this is a side note, you have to be careful. Certain vehicles you can do 72 months on, some you can't. For example, 0%, 72 months, will you be upside down on that car? Not for very long because the payments are just going to total principal. By the time you get to 36 months, that car is going to be half paid for. It's generally speaking going to be worth at least that, if not more, if you've kept it up really well. That's a safe, that one doesn't bother me at all. 0.72, not a problem. 5% at 72 months, that one's getting a little scarier. 8% at 72 months, you're going to be upside down for a long time. So those are the things, by the way, Isaac can help you with on the financial side of the fence and those thresholds. Where are you going to be upside down? Because Isaac knows the math on a lot of the vehicles and what kind of a residual value they will retain over the next 3 to 5 years, correct?
As much as anybody.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's by the way, that's a crystal ball sort of a thing.
And mine's got a big crack in it.
Yeah.
At least I admit that, though. They all have a big crack in it.
They do.
If anybody had
a
real crystal ball,
nope,
they wouldn't be in this business.
No, they wouldn't. But in general, I mean, what I'm saying by that too, and I want to make sure I'm being fair with Isaac here when I say that. He's got the ability to look at, okay, pickup trucks in general, a Silverado truck in the past has done X on resale value after 5 years or 3 years or whatever the number is. Ford Taurus has done, which they don't, Ford Fusion, let's use that one. So Ford Fusion has done X after so many years. And in some cases, models may change. Isaac's driving this week the Q60 this week, is that what you're in?
I think that's what they call it this week.
It's because it was a 35. It was a G35 in the past, but I think it's a Q60. So in that case, Isaac has to go back and say, well, wait a minute, what did G35s used to do? Yeah, now Infinity's calling it a Q60, but in general, what's that car do after the 3 to 5 year mark? Because by the way, not just lines of cars have differences when it comes to the residual. Different models inside that line can vary greatly. Correct, Isaac?
Correct. I had a gentleman call me. He had a Toyota Tacoma extra cab, but it was a 4-cylinder. Now, a Toyota Tacoma V6 in Colorado probably holds its value better than any other single vehicle made.
That's right.
But not a 4-cylinder.
Nope.
Because the 4-cylinder just doesn't have enough power at this altitude. Right. It might work great with 2-wheel drive if you live in Santa Monica or you live in Atlanta, but it doesn't work at our elevation.
That's right.
And so if it had been the 6-cylinder, it was probably worth $3,000 more than the 4-cylinder, and it didn't cost that much more new. Right. So back to your point of holding on to its value.
One thing I want to add to that, we're going to take a quick break, but I'm going to give Isaac kind of a teaser here. There are even certain options on cars that you should either look at buying or not look at buying if you're thinking about doing a loan but getting out of the car 3 or 4 years down the road. So we'll talk about that as soon as we come back. I'll tease you just a little bit. John Rush, your host, AM 560, KLZ, The Source.
Reliability. It's what every driver wants from their vehicle. Regardless of make or model, you want your vehicle to take you where you need to go. Reliability is exactly what Colorado Select Auto Care Centers offer. They've set the standard for excellence in automotive repair and maintenance. Each Colorado Select member currently offers Napa's Peace of Mind warranty, but are now also offering an extended 2-year or 24,000-mile warranty on repair work. You won't find this offer anywhere else. To find a Colorado Select Auto Care Center near you, log on to drive-radio.com or call 303-546-6272.
You put up with enough squealers. That annoying coworker? Squealer. Your kids fighting? Squealers. And that rat, Billy Parker, in the 5th grade. Big time squealer. So don't take squealing from your brakes. Get up to a $50 rebate Visa card on qualifying brake purchases. $50. Conquer the job with Napa Know-How. And participating Napa Auto Parts stores. Offer expires 5/31/14.
After 30 years of business, Gino's Auto Service is expanding. Hi, this is Jennifer, and my dad owns Gino's Auto Service in Littleton. What does our expansion mean for you? Savings on all our repair and maintenance services. We work on all makes and models, and your satisfaction is always guaranteed. At Gino's, we use genuine Napa parts and are AAA approved. Stop by and see the transformation at Bowles and Platte Canyon, or visit us online at ginosautoservice.com. That's ginosautoservice.com.
Your car performs better when things are simple. And it's easy to see how the maze of plumbing under the hood can slow it down. A K&N AirTake system replaces the maze with a single custom engineered tube. The result? A guaranteed increase in horsepower. A dramatic increase you can actually feel. Visit K&N website to look up the extra horsepower available for your vehicle. K&N, an American manufacturer since 1969.
All right, and thanks for tuning in. We do appreciate it. We have a line open, by the way. I should have said that more during our opening segment of the second hour, 303-477-5600. But I wanted to give Isaac also some time to talk. He'll be with us another 10 minutes here until our next break. But call us, 303-477-5600. Okay, so one of the things I wanted Isaac to talk about, and he and I, we share a lot of things back and forth. Both are in the Rocky Mountain Press Association. We drive new cars, do reviews on them. I'm doing video reviews now. I always have them on our website, talk about them here on air, etc. Isaac does the same thing, actually is a much better journalist than I am. I'm good on the radio, but I'm not a journalist by any means. But Isaac does a great job on that end of things. And one of the things that I did want to talk about is, and we're not going to get to all this today because there's just too many things to cover. Technology, so I think technology we'll save for another time because that's a whole hour-plus topic all by itself and where things are headed. What I wanted to help people with today, though, Isaac, is what options should people look at knowing that, okay, I'm going to have this car. Okay, if I'm going to keep this car forever, you know what? Doesn't matter. If you're going to buy it, it's your last car. You're going to own it for a very, very long time. You know, buy it with whatever you want, whatever suits your fancy. I could care less. That's not an issue. But if you're somebody that's thinking, okay, I'm going to buy this car today. I'm not going to lease it. I'm going to go ahead and buy it, take my chances, but I may only own it for the next 4 years, let's say. I'm going to do a 60-month loan. I'm going to own it for 4 years, or I'm going to write a check for it. I'm going to only own it about 4 years. Isaac, there are things that people can put on vehicles that help with the resale value down the road, and those are some of the things I did want to quickly mention, because I don't think everybody looks at this the same way when they're buying the car versus when they're trying to get the car sold or traded or what have you down the road.
No, and I would talk about color before I would talk about options.
Okay.
They've done some really interesting studies on this, and I've seen it. We have what we call, well, they used to call in the car business, stay around brown. The brown car would sit around. That's not necessarily true right now because brown is actually
brown's
in.
hot. But my dad always raised me. I've never owned a brown car my entire life.
So
because of that reason.
Exactly. So the one that sits around all the time is beige, and I'm going to generalize it and say that they have done studies, and I've seen this, that men and women will buy a masculine color, and only women will typically buy a feminine color. So your light blues, you'll lose about 50% of your potential buyers for that used car. Your beiges, you'll lose about 50% of your buyers for that vehicle. If you get a gray or silver car, pretty much anybody will buy that.
Yep.
One of the most popular colors right now is black, so I think you're fine with black. It shows a lot of wear.
Black and white.
Black. White turns off some people, believe it or not. Not me. I own 3 white cars in a row.
But they typically still sell.
They sell, and
then they don't show the damage down the road. So when you start looking at resales, white, everybody has this misconception. The darker the color, the more wear and tear it shows, as to Isaac's point just a second ago. White is very, very forgiving.
And white stays cleaner looking.
That's right.
And people aren't aware of that.
That's right.
And this is Colorado. We're talking about Colorado.
That's
There's other states where environmental conditions are different. But if you stick to your grays, your silvers, your black, and even blue, you're pretty safe in a darker range. But if you go to a light color, that's going to be a harder car to sell when you're done with it.
And other colors to be careful of course, are maroons, reds, because red can really offend some people. I'm a red car fan. I love them, but not everybody does. So you have to be careful with reds. And to your point, Isaac, even certain golds and even some of the blues, depending upon the hue that they have, can either be a hit or a failure.
Yes. Now, let's talk about what options are essential. Here in Colorado, people love heated seats.
Yes.
You're not going to get any more for your car necessarily, but it's going to be easier to get rid of.
Two people are looking at the same car on the resale market. One has it, one doesn't. The one with heated is liable to take the, it's liable to take the checkered flag, if you would. It's gonna be the one that gets bought.
In terms of options, navigation used to be very expensive, and it used to add to a car's residual value. It really doesn't add much to residual value anymore. It does make the car easier to sell, but it doesn't add much to its value.
And part of that, some of you listening on YouTube, the iPhones and the smartphones is the reason why I think a lot of that has changed, Isaac.
Next, pretty much every car has air conditioning.
Yeah. In fact, I don't think, even on trucks now, for me on the fleet, I don't think you can buy one without it now.
Now, here's what a couple of the manufacturers do. They want to come in with the cheapest car in America. It might be a Nissan
Versa or something.
Note, and they'll offer it with no air conditioning, but no one will buy it that way. So that's not an issue anymore. Almost every car has power windows and power locks because it's actually easier for a manufacturer just to tool it up that way than to have 2 variations.
Yep.
So that's not a big thing
What
anymore.
about cloth versus leather seats, for example?
That's a great point. Leather is worth more, and I'd rather have cloth in so many cars because some of the leather's so hard and brittle and cheap and it doesn't wear as well, but leather actually is worth more. It's what they call a hard add. It actually has inherent value in it. You will typically get more for your car. And families really want leather because they have
Easy to
kids.
clean.
Now here's the funny part. All the manufacturers are doing this perforated leather, and that's the worst stuff ever.
Yes, it's hard to
The
clean.
ice cream and the snot and everything gets in those little crevices and you can't get it out, but it's still worth more at resale time. Power seats are still a hard add. People love power seats.
And by the way, that's for both sides. So if the passenger side has that option, even though you may be the single driver of this vehicle over the next whatever years it's going to be, again, on the resale we're talking about, sometimes having that power option on the passenger side will add enough value to help distinguish it between the next vehicle.
I have people always asking me, does it have Bluetooth? And that, I think, is going to become an essential. People really do want it, and a lot of the states have either passed laws or will pass laws saying you have to be hands-free in your car.
Agree.
Colorado tilts on the balance every year that we're going to pass a law saying you have to be hands-free. We haven't done it yet, but I bet you we'll get there in the next 5 years.
I agree with you on that point wholeheartedly. That's 100% correct.
People will want a screen in there, and this is the smart thing the manufacturers have done. Chrysler is great at this, and Chrysler is, of course, Dodge, Chrysler, and Jeep, and Fiat, but they've done a great job. Most of their cars have a system in it called Uconnect, and there's a screen in there, and you can actually buy the car without nav, and if you move to a new state and you really need nav, you can add a module right in the back for $600 to $800, and you've got your nav. But if you don't need the nav's not in there, but you still got the screen, so your Bluetooth, your music, everything's easily accessible. So that seems like a very modular,
What about things like sunroofs?
Sunroofs, that's a good one. I have people who never open their sunroof. A lot of people like to slide the blind back and get the light in here because we live in such a beautiful state. But it is a hard ad, and I have once in a while a customer, right now I have a customer whose wife insists we have a sunroof in their Tahoe. And so I keep finding Tahoes without a sunroof. Murphy does rule at times. However, a lot of people really don't care about a sunroof anymore because they've got air conditioning. And sunroofs kind of go back to the time when you'd roll your windows down or roll the sunroof back. And
what about some of the other packages? What I mean by that is I'm driving the GS350 F Sport this week, Lexus. Do some of those S packages, or in the case of a Lexus, the F Sports, and some of those packages that you can get that kind of distinguish the car from the rest of the pack that maybe only cost, I don't know, $1,500, $2,000, are those worthwhile options?
That is a great question. I would say yes, because it differentiates your car from the majority. So I'm going to use a counterexample of an Infiniti. Infiniti has an S package for what was called the G35 and G37. It's now called the Q60 or Q70.
No, it's Q60.
Is a two-door, right? And Q50 is the four-door now.
That's right.
And they have a sport package. So Audi calls it S-Line. BMW has Sport and M Sport. All these guys have that. And that really does help when you go to sell the car because, one, the car looks better.
Right.
It's got the bigger wheels on it and the cooler-looking features.
They usually do some different accents on the vehicle. Again, if you set the two vehicles on the same lot, people are going to gravitate towards the one that has more of that sporty look to it, even though they may not know what all is involved with that. That's typically where they're going to head.
However, if that package costs $3,500 more and it's only worth $1,500 more at resale time, then it probably wasn't worth it because the car is worth actually probably 60% of what it costs new, but the package has lost 75% of its value.
The only thing you have to ask yourself is, do you enjoy driving that package more when it's all said and done?
Exactly what I was going to say, John. Do you really care about it? If you care about it, then it's like fixing up the bathroom in your house. Do you really care if you get all the money out of it, or are you going to enjoy having that nicer bathroom for 2-3 years before you sell your place?
That's great. And so in some cases, that's what some of these options come down to. But what I'm getting at is there are some, what I consider to be haves, that you want to make sure, for example, you're out and buy a pickup truck. Even some of you fleet operators, you know what? If you're going to keep that truck forever, it doesn't matter if it has roll-down windows or power windows. I bought one, believe it or not, I bought one of the last fleet trucks I bought last year, had roll-down windows. My guys hate me for it. They hate having to reach over, roll that window down, etc. It's just a pain in the neck. But anyways, to your point, yes, you do need some things to be standard to make that vehicle resellable down the road. Real quick before Isaac's out of here, Russ has got a question on a new car purchase. Russ, welcome. What's going on?
Hey, I figured I'd run some stuff across Isaac here.
Sure.
So we've obviously been looking for a new car for the last few years. We kind of ramp up and start looking, see what we like, and drive lots of different cars before we actually make a decision. My wife has kind of put her finger on a Buick Enclave, and that's one of the things that I'm kind of worried about is she wants the leather, and like you guys were saying, leather sometimes is good, sometimes leather is just crap.
It's always better on the resale. It's rare that you're not going to get better money on it when you go to resell it.
I'm not so worried about the resale because we tend to keep our cars forever. We got our 01 Venture that we're driving now. It's going to get handed down to me until my daughter starts driving, then she's going to drive it. So I'm not too terribly worried about resale because we typically don't sell cars.
If it were me still, Russ, I'll let Isaac chime in on the GM leather versus their cloth. I tend to like GM's leather better than I do GM's cloth. It's just me personally. The fit, the feel, how it wears, and I've owned lots of GM vehicles over the years, and I'm just telling you from experience, I like the leather better than I do their cloth.
Okay.
Russ,
go ahead.
You were starting to ask about this. Now, I bet you that the way that Enclave is built, you can't get an upper trim level without getting leather. They kind of force you into that. Is that correct?
Well, I can get down into cloth, but my wife has been pushing for the leather, so.
Well, one, if Mama's not happy.
Nobody's happy.
So two, resale value-wise, I can tell you that any GMC Acadia, Chevy Traverse, or stuff with cloth is worth nothing because it falls right into the category of the rental units because they put those into rental service.
That's right.
And they are worth thousands and thousands of dollars less than the equivalent car with leather. So, you know what? You may plan to keep this car, but my dad used to keep his cars forever, now he doesn't. And I'm not saying you're going to be like my dad, but I just know that things come along in life, and in 3 years you may have to sell this car, or need to sell this car, or this car isn't meeting your needs anymore.
Right.
So I would say I would just get the leather and be done
too.
with it. Now, I'm going to say one other thing about that. Those vehicles, all those GM crossovers are beautiful to drive, well appointed. I really like them, but I have seen that at least the older ones have enormous numbers of troubles as they age. Anything from about 70,000 miles up, everyone has trouble, and everyone has a lot of trouble. I've even had them where they were so bad under warranty, people have traded out of them before the warranty expires. So if you decide you're going to keep this car, this is going to be one instance where I'm going to suggest a really good extended warranty, and that's not the technical term. It should be called a parts and service contract, and we could talk about that on another show.
Right.
But that's a vehicle that I think you absolutely need that kind of policy and protection on.
Well, if we're looking at problems like that, what other vehicle should we be looking at that maybe we've missed?
Go drive a new Highlander.
So the new Highlander's wonderful.
Yep. By the way, I just drove that car, so my review on it, you can watch it on YouTube. It's there for you, Russ. We did a long review of it, went through a lot of different things on the car. I love that car. My wife loved that car. One of the few cars she gets in and actually said, wow, they've really done a good job inside this car. Just for example, they designed the center console with a lady in mind. Now, it's a very masculine type car. They purposely changed some things on it to make it more masculine. But one thing they did was they actually designed the center console around a woman's purse. So a lady can actually put her full-size purse in the console.
Okay.
All right, so Russ, that's definitely got to be at the top of your list. It actually has the best resale value of anything in the class.
Yep.
I just sold mine that had 108,000 miles on it, and it drove like it had 30.
Yep.
Can't fault it at all. My two favorites in the class are still, and this car's been on the road since 2007, is the Mazda CX-9.
Yep.
It's still a phenomenal car. It is actually, along with the Toyota, the most reliable car in the class. They're still built in Japan, and many Japanese-built cars are still better than American-built Japanese cars. It's superb. My sister drives one. I've sold so many of them I can't shake a stick at it. And if you're an American car person, the Dodge Durango is wonderful.
Yeah, it is a good car.
I'd put that on my short list. I got a couple of those for people.
Yeah.
Got my mom one. I mean, they're wonderful cars now. So I would add those to the list. We could talk another time if you want, or if you're comfortable with your dealer, you know, definitely drive those before you make that final commitment. Sounds like you're a GM guy, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just wanted to throw those caveats in there for you.
Yeah, I mean, I've always kind of driven GMs, but I'll be honest with you, like my uncle has bought one of the new Toyota Camrys, and I really...
Russ, I'm not trying to sell you on a Toyota, but go drive that new Highlander. They did a phenomenal job when they redid it.
I haven't driven it, so I guess...
And now again, 2014 model. Don't drive a 13, drive a 14, because that's the new model.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
All right, Russ, thanks for calling. We appreciate it. With that, Isaac, you got to get out of here. Thanks so much for coming down with us. It's been awesome.
Craig was great.
Been great. And we're going to continue on. Stay with us. Don't go away. I'm your host, John Rush. Craig will also be back. Drive Radio, KLZ 560, The Source.
Cleaning out the garage and cleaning up the yard means spring cleaning. Don't forget to clean up your car. Arvada West Auto sees a need in vehicles for spring maintenance after a cold, snowy winter takes its toll on your vehicle. We want to help you keep safe and your car running smoothly. Our ASE certified technicians are experts at what they do. Ask us about our 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty. Let us and the power of Napa Auto Care keep you on the road. Call Arvada West Auto 303-422-1065. Stop by 11752 West 64th Avenue or visit us on the web at arvadawestautoandtruck.com, where every question is important. See you soon.
Have you ever wished there was a place you could take your car, put it on a lift, and work on it yourself? My name is Craig Wallace, owner of DIY Auto Repair Shops. We have the lift, the tools, and the expertise. We offer a multi-tier program that allows you to do it yourself, technically assisted, or we can fix it for you. Check us out online at DIYAutoRepairShops.com or give us a call at 303-429-4000. Again, that's 303-429-4000. Let us know you heard about DIY on Drive Radio, and you'll receive 50% off your first DIY hour. We look forward to helping you succeed repairing and maintaining your car.
Having transmission problems? Stop by Larry's Automotive today. We're your only Colorado Select Auto Care in North Denver that also specializes in automatic and manual transmissions. We're a family-owned small business taking care of your family-owned fleet of cars, trucks, and SUVs since 1994. We specialize in transmission and drivetrain problems and offer a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty. We're also an ATRA member. Call us at 303-427-2108 for an appointment or find us on the web at coloradoselect.com. Larry's Automotive, a proud member of Colorado Select Auto Care.
A 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on every auto repair says so much more than, if it's not right, we'll try to fix it again. A 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty tells me that this is a master mechanic who's confident, who knows what they're doing. I mean, nobody offers a warranty like that, right? Colorado Select Auto Care Centers do, and only the members of Colorado Select offer a warranty this good. Find a mechanic who's a member of Colorado Select Auto Care at coloradoselect.org.
All right, thanks for tuning in. We do appreciate it very much, and I say that often, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate all of you that call in. Some of you call in routinely, and some call in just because you need something. So whatever the case, let us know what it is. We've got lines open now, and again, I gave Isaac. We typically don't do a lot of just Q&A back and forth like we did this first hour and a half. But Isaac is a guy, knows his new cars like the back of his hand. I mean, I know him pretty well, but Isaac's got me beat hands down, really knows his stuff. And, yeah, if you're in the market for a new used car, need some advice, need some help, just give Isaac a call. And I've got his number handy here. Let me give it out to you one more time just in case you haven't had it yet. It is 303-475-1462. And again, like I said earlier, if you like our sponsors, use them. We appreciate it. They appreciate it. Let's face it. That's all how we make our livings and make things happen. So if you like what you hear, by all means, use our sponsors. Again, give us a call. We have lines open. Doesn't happen very often midway through the show. We've got an hour and a half left. We'd love to hear from you. We'll pack as many calls in as we can, 303-477-5600. And it doesn't have to be something about new or used cars. Call us, ask us anything. I'll give Craig a plug here. He's one of the best technicians in all of Denver, and I don't mean that. Don't say that hastily. I mean what I say there. And he's much more, bashful, and he'll never say that himself. But he is. He's a great technician. If you've got a question, call us. We'll get it answered. 303-477-5600. Last week we talked a lot about fuel. Top-tier fuel, where you should buy fuel, etc. One of you called in and wanted to know if the Diamond Shamrock Premium brand is the same as the other top-tier fuels, and I have not been able to verify that yet. So I've got some feelers out. I'm trying to figure it out. You don't know either, probably?
Nope.
I don't either. So maybe if there's somebody else out there listening that can verify that, we'll take whatever you want to add to that. If you know if Diamond Shamrocks, maybe somebody from Diamond Shamrock is listening, if you can verify that your premium grade is the same as top tier, I'd like to know. I'm hesitant to say that it is because typically they would then be having all of their blends certified as top tier and would be on the top tier website, and they are not. But at any rate, if you've got an answer to that, let us know what it is, or anything else you want to talk about. 303-477-5600. Calls are starting to roll in. We still have lines open. Call us. We'll get you right on air. 303-477-5600. Again, I'll talk real quickly. We've got a couple of new sponsors coming up. Paul Leuenberger from American National Insurance, or Chrome as we like to call it, is kind of the division that he started inside of American National Insurance. He does a lot of hot rods, hard to insure vehicles. He can definitely save you some money, but he's also a guy that can help you with home, auto, life, any of those. He can help you out with. His number is 303-619-9891. And then I also talked about Quick Tread. They're another sponsor coming on with us. Ken Bauer is his name, 720-557-1380. And, Isaac forgot his jacket. See, Isaac. So He's back out of here. Those of you on YouTube could see that. No big deal. But then, Quick Tread, Ken Bauer is his name. He's got a business where they will come and do tires at your location. He can sell most of the major brands and can probably even get a hold of anything you want, even if you've got some of the exotics. He'll get whatever you need. And a very great business model. We've teamed up with him. He does some things for me on my fleet, and we're going to work him into some of the other guys. So some of you guys out there that own shops, I know a lot of you listen to the show, etc. If you need somebody that'll come and do tires for you, supply them, put them on, etc., he's a guy to talk to, 720-557-1380. So again, we got a line open. Give us a call. We'll get you right on air, 303-4... Yeah, I can't talk. 303-44... One more time. 303-477-5600. So real quick, before we get to our next caller, DIY Automotive, or auto repair shops.
You'll get it right eventually.
I don't know why I keep saying automotive. It's just because automotive is everywhere. So DIY auto repair shops, you guys do literally everything, but your main model is if somebody's got the knack to do some of the repair themselves, you've got the ability to supply them with lifts, tools, even some help if need be. Absolutely. To make that happen.
You bet. I mean, we take care of fluid disposals. We take care of all the tool needs. There's a 550-piece tool set in every single bay. It's really hard to visualize without just coming in the door and taking a look for yourself. There's certainly no obligation in coming in and have Liz at the front counter give you the grand tour. She doesn't even charge you a nickel.
Yeah, it's a great model, by the way. So some of you that can do some of your own work, you like doing your own work, it's a hobby. You know, maybe there's something on the hot rod that you'd really like to have up in the air. You've done a lot of work and it's been on the ground, but you want to do something up in the air. That's the place to go to. Craig and his guys can help you out with that. And they also have the model where if you want to have them help you a little bit, they can do that. Or if you get stuck and you need somebody to do it for you, they'll do the whole gamut. So they can do
it.
They can do both ends of the spectrum. And you know, again, to Craig's point, just stop by, see them. Where are you located? What's your phone number?
7395 Federal Boulevard. That's Westminster. 80030. The phone number is 303-429-4000.
Great. All right, let's go to the phones real quick. John is up next, and we have a line open, 303-477-5600. John, what's going on today?
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
I've got an 80 Chevy K20 four-wheel drive pickup, and I was moving a lot of heavy snow with it. It's got a blade on the front.
Okay.
And I blew the right front drive shaft U-joint. The
axle joint?
Yeah, the axle joint out at the edge, and I need the whole axle.
Okay. So did it break both axles, or did just one of them break?
No, it broke both of them.
Wow.
Both the ears are snapped off.
Okay.
The holes where you would press the U-joint in.
Yep. Yeah, because typically it breaks. Typically the stub shaft breaks. So, and that one is still common enough. You ought to be able to find a complete axle in one of the local wrecking yards. I mean, that should be available. You can still buy them. I believe you can still buy some of those new from, you know, Spicer, etc. I haven't bought one for a number of years, so don't quote me on that.
Hey, who have you checked with at this point? Anybody?
I went to the local auto parts stores.
Yeah, they won't have those.
Right.
And they just said you're on your own.
Yeah, they won't have it. That's a what we call a that's a differential hard part, and the part stores just typically don't get into much of that. And again, there's nothing wrong with buying a used one. Just make sure you put a new joint in it when you go to put it back in. The thing on an 80 that you have to be careful of is making sure you don't get one off of an earlier model 79, 78, because they are different. 80 went back to a part-time transfer case, and it changed some of the front end and how they did the hub assemblies, and that changed the length of that stub shaft.
Okay.
So make sure you're getting one for an 80.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, appreciate it.
John.
Yes.
John, I know you used to be up in Fort Collins.
Yes.
Any good junkyard? We don't use that term anymore.
No, we don't. We use salvage yards basically.
Any salvage yards in northern Colorado that you would recommend? Because the one here in Cheyenne is not good.
You know, and when we used to do it, I still, and to this day, we still use, Stadium a lot. Chevy Truck Parts, by the way, when it comes to Chevys, is one of the better known places for having the part you're looking for. And you may have to take a drive down, but I would probably call them before I called anybody.
My guess is if they've got it, they can box it up and ship it to you.
And they could. Yeah, that's exactly right. They could send it up to you.
All right, and then one other question on that same truck. A couple weeks ago, you were talking different oils for older vehicles.
Yes.
I'm a Mobil 1 fan.
Okay.
Any issues with running Mobil 1 in that 400 engine in that?
The problem with the Mobil 1 is it doesn't have the zinc additive in it that it really needs for the flat tappet camshaft that's in that particular engine. So There is a ton of debate on the internet, etc., as to what type of oil to use in that. My fleet trucks, personally, I've been running the 1540 weight diesel oil. There's guys out there that will tell you that it doesn't work, but I've used it for a number of years with no issues at all. It does have zinc in it. It does have some of the detergents that you need for a late model gasoline engine. And in that particular era, that 1980 engine, I wouldn't hesitate at all to put a 1540 diesel weight oil in it.
So like a Rotella?
Rotella, yep. 1540, Dello, Delvac, any of them.
Okay. Hey, thanks, guys. Have a good
You're
weekend.
very welcome. Thanks for calling in. Appreciate it. Let's go to Joe, who is next. Joe, welcome.
Good morning. How you doing?
Doing great, Joe.
Just a few quick sentences to listeners out there. Please support these guys. Support their sponsors. I'm an old guy. I've listened to a lot of radio, and I'll tell you what, you're not going to get another show like this one, and it's valuable.
Well, thank you.
Please support these guys and their sponsors. Now, to get on to the problem. What kind of vetting process do you have for taking somebody into your group, the Colorado Select? Or do you have one?
Yeah, no, we do. We have one, and we do vet them out. And the way we do that is we look at different. I don't want to say reports, but we check with BBB. Who are they associated with? How long have they been in business? Right. Typically in town, when you get into the automotive scene, we typically know who's got a good reputation in town and who doesn't. So a lot of the vetting can be done with me just making a few phone calls saying, hey, who do you know over at such and such? How good of a facility are they? How do they work? And then on top of that, we go in and look at, do they have a good BBB report? Who are they affiliated with? Et cetera, and that's how we vet them out.
Okay, the only reason why I asked that is because I ran across a mechanic. He has a mobile service. Okay. But this guy seems to be pretty diligent about his work.
Okay.
I've seen him work on some things. He just seems like a diligent and dedicated guy, and that's what I find with all your people, to be quite frank.
No, you're 100% correct. And no, those are the kind of people that we like. And yeah, and by the way, everybody listening, we have shops from everything from a small 2-3 bay facility all the way up to Dennis has our largest facility at 14, 16 bays I think he has out in Parker, and we have everything in between. So the reality is, we'll talk to anybody. If you can get him to just send me an email directly, Joe, just have him send it to John, JOHN, at drive-radio.com. I'd be happy to talk to him, sit down, meet him, go through some things, and I'd love to talk to him.
Yeah, because he does seem like a very diligent person.
I'd love to. That'd be awesome, because that would come in handy with a lot of the things we do anyways.
Like I said, he's mobile, but he's not he's not one of these guys on a broken down pickup.
Because the other thing is we've got sections of town we have no representation in at all, and a mobile guy could fill that need very well for us. So I'd love to chat with him.
And let me say one other thing. Everybody that I've referred to Colorado Select, and it's not always that they pick the same guy on Colorado Select. Every one of them came back, because I checked back with them, because I tell them it's my reference too.
Yes, it is. That's right.
I said, how did it go? He says, hey, this guy was great. He saved me a couple $100. Or this guy found a problem that the other guy didn't find. Blah blah blah. Everybody came back satisfied. So your listeners should understand that.
We appreciate that. And by the way, I don't know Joe personally. I've never met Joe. I don't send Joe a check after the show's over. So Joe's giving you all of this independently. And Joe, I appreciate that very, very much.
Put it this way. I'm only telling the truth, and I'm only looking at the obvious.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. So have your guy call me. I'd love to chat with him. And with that, we're going to be right back here. We got a line open, 303-477-5600. Gary and Peyton with an oil question. Hang with us. We'll get your question as soon as we come back here on Drive Radio, KLZ 560, The Source.
Right now at Napa, get your favorite flavor of Valvoline Conventional or Max Life Motor Oil for just $3.59 a quart. Buy 5 quarts, and you'll also get a $7 mail-in rebate. Yep, $7. Enough to get a plate of bacon with a side of bacon smothered in bacon. Now that's tasty. Conquer the job with Napa Know-How. General states pricing. Sales prices do not include applicable state, local taxes, or recycling fees at participating Napa Auto Parts stores. Offer expires 5/31/14.
Ah, summer. A time of fun, sun, high temperatures, and the ultimate family road trip. Before embarking on the ultimate family adventure, bring your vehicle over to Fort Collins 4x4 Center for a little TLC. Our summer maintenance inspection includes pressure testing your air conditioning system, checking your coolant levels and tire pressure, testing your battery, inspecting your hoses and belts for cracks, cuts, and bulges, testing your transmission, power steering, and brake fluids. Having your vehicle inspected before a long road trip can keep you on the road, not stuck beside it during your vacation. Fort Collins 4x4 is under new ownership as of January 2014. Stop by and see what's new. Located a few blocks north of Old Town on College Avenue in Hemlock, we are open to serve you Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 5:30 p.m. with shuttle service and after-hours drop. Give us a call at 970-482-5500. Follow us on Facebook or check us out at FortCollins4x4.com.
Reliability. It's what every driver wants from their vehicle. Regardless of make or model, you want your vehicle to take you where you need to go. Reliability is exactly what the Colorado Select Auto Care Centers offer. They set the standard for excellence in automotive repair and maintenance. Each member offers Napa Auto Care Peace of Mind Warranty, along with the highest level of customer service and integrity. To find a Colorado Select Auto Care Center near you, log on to drive-radio.com or call 303-546-NAPA.
All right, we're back. Sorry, I was talking to Larry there through the break. There's a big event going on over at the Arvada West Fire Department, I believe it is. And I think I found it, Larry. You can double check it, but I think it's the Hot Times Cool Cars. But don't quote me. I'm trying to look at the website and figure this out. If somebody knows what's going on over there, please call us. Let us know. We're trying to figure it out so we can get it out on air. But there's a big event going on, it looks like, at the Arvada West Fire Department. If you know what that is, maybe Dorsey and Paul, if you guys are listening, and can text either Larry and I and let us know what it is, or call in, let us know. 303-477-5600 is our phone number. Let's go to Gary in Peyton. What's going on, Gary?
Yeah, I like your show. Yeah, I listen to it all the time.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that.
Yeah, okay, on the Della 400, 1540, for the flat tappet cam engines.
Correct.
Okay, Della 400 makes a 540 full synthetic.
They do.
Okay, and it says on the bottle for gas or diesel. Now, do you recommend that for the flat tappet cam engine?
You could. I think it's pretty thin. If it's an older, first of all, I think you need to look at what the vehicle is, how many miles are on it. Those older 400s were a little bit looser engine, if you would, quote unquote, and I would be a little bit hesitant to put a 5-weight oil in that. Now, that's me talking. Somebody else out there might say, yeah, it's great, John, run it. Craig, what do you think?
I would be on your side of that. An old 400, I would definitely try to keep a 10 or a 15 weight on the low end.
The 350 is kind of in that same ballpark. I'd try to keep at least a 10 weight or above in it if I could.
Yep.
Even if it don't have very many miles on it, or?
Yeah, and unless you assembled it and you know exactly where all the clearances are and you know the motor was put together fairly snugly. I mean, if you know that, you could run a thinner oil and be fine. But if it were me, I'd try to stick to more of the 15 weight, just personally.
Okay, on the 1540 in the wintertime, isn't that pretty heavy oil?
I run it in my fleet trucks, and I've got a lot of them that are running still, just a standard small block Chevy 350s, and I run that 15 weight in it, clear down to plowing snow when it's 10 below, 0, 20 below, and we don't have any issues with them starting at all.
I see. Okay, well, thank you.
You're very welcome, Gary. Thanks for the phone call. You want to add anything to that?
I don't know that I can. I mean, a good old 1952 Ford that we have as our shop truck, I can assure you I wouldn't put anything lower than a 1540 in it.
I would agree. And the older the engine, and this is a side note, and we could talk on this for the rest of the afternoon. And by the way, these are some specific questions I'm going to get into when I go back and do this tour of Universal Oils, and I get to actually see the refinery, how oil is made, from the base all the way through full production. When it goes in the bottle, I get to see the whole 9 yards. And the engineers, by the way, will be there. They made sure that when we actually go visit, there will be all the right people for us to talk to so that we can talk to the actual oil engineers and really get the straight scoop. So some of these questions, by the way, I'm going to throw out because, some of this stuff changes, by the way. What we say about a particular oil, we may not say the same thing in 5 years from now. May not say the same thing when I get back. I may have different news for you on some of what we're talking about. And every year, there's a lot of advancements that are made on the oil side of the fence. So I may come back from that trip saying something totally different than what I am today, but
no doubt,
that's the learning process. Oils are continually changing, fluids are continually changing. It's not the same as it was at one point in time. We were pretty much against the DexCool coolant, and I will tell you today that nope, that's not the case. Now we've gone back to just saying whatever the vehicle came with, that's what you need to put back in it. Keep running it, keep it full, keep it clean. If that's what it came with, use it.
Completely agree. So
we get emails on that, or at least I do on a pretty regular basis. So here's a quick one for you, by the way. By the way, if you've got a question, you can call us 303-477-5600 or email me. I've got one right now I'm going to answer. Email me at John, at drive-radio.com. Send it to me. I'll get it right away. We'll read it on air. So here's one from Wayne up in Longmont. He's got a question on a 2005 Jeep Grand Cherokee. TPMS light is on, so the tire pressure warning light is on. So my tire pressure warning light flashes occasionally. Check tire pressure. Right front was just under 35. The rest were between 35 and 37. Is 1 pound enough to cause this, or do I have a faulty sensor in one of the wheels? I have 3 gauges. No two read the same pressure. How can I tell if my pressure is in the right ballpark? So by the way, those are 2 questions that are a little bit separate from one another. Let's start, first of all, with his problem. Is 1 pound enough on that vehicle to set the light?
Yes,
okay.
It is, plain and simple. It's black and white to that sensor. It's either within range or it's outside of range, and if it can be a half a pound that can make a difference.
Correct. And by the way, in that particular year, they were finicky anyways.
Very much so.
Yeah, very much so.
I think that ambient temperature change of 30 degrees can make a light be on versus off.
That's right. And so yes, so to your point, Wayne, and I'll email this back to you. But yes, that can make a big difference. Next question, which is universal to everybody listening: how do you know you have a good tire pressure gauge?
That's a darn good question. It's one I can't answer. You just find one that you can trust.
And the way you do that, by the way, at least I think, they're a little more expensive, but there's a lot of digital gauges that are now on the market that I have found that read pretty darn accurately. Now, I'm not saying you buy the cheap $10 digital gauge. You're going to spend $30, $40 to get a really nice digital gauge, but once you have that and you know you're right on the money, you could calibrate some of your other gauges and know exactly whether you're going to keep that one, give it to a friend, throw it away,
give it to an
enemy, whatever. Yeah, you probably don't want to give it to a friend. Give it to an enemy, but you get my point. You can actually use that to help calibrate some of the other gauges that you've got. But yes, having a proper tire gauge helps. And other thing I will tell you is the little fill stations that you find at the side of the gas stations, they're probably as inaccurate as it gets.
Your eyeball's more accurate than those gauges are.
Exactly. You can take a hammer and tap on it and probably be more accurate than that. So yes, having a good tire pressure gauge is a very wise thing to do. And to this gentleman's point, he's got 3 and they all 3 read differently. The other thing I will tell you is when it comes to tire pressure gauges, even on the old stick type, you get what you pay for.
Very, very true.
The cheaper the gauge, the more inaccurate it's going to be. The old Camel, and they still make them, by the way, the old heavy-duty Camel gauges, they're very reliable, very accurate. We use them in our fleet shop. They work great, but you know what? They don't cost $5.
That's a fact.
They cost about $35.
I know the last one I bought was off the Snap-on truck, and it wasn't a digital gauge, but it was an inflator type of hose with a gauge assembly on it. And I think I spent $80 on that thing.
That's right. So a good gauge is very, very expensive, but again, it's critical if you want to make sure your tires are going to wear properly and everything is in line. So we got one call right before we go to the top of the hour. We've got lines open, 303-477-5600. Rob is next. Rob, what's going on today?
Hey, guys, I had a question about maintenance. I have a 2001 F-150, and the maintenance schedule they give you back then has certain things to do at a mileage, like 75,000 is my next one coming up. Well, when I take it into the maintenance facility at Ford, they try to have me do other stuff like transmission flushes and antifreeze flushes that aren't on the original maintenance schedule for that mileage. Okay. What do you think about that?
What they're doing now, and any of us in our facilities would do exactly the same thing. You're now at an age where you're going to be more off of age versus mileage. You've surpassed the mileage intervals already because of your age. So yes, you're going to get some recommendations that are different from the book because you haven't gotten to the mileage you should have in the amount of time you've owned the vehicle.
Okay, but does that mean I should do it even though it may not have the usage or the wear?
Depends on the fluid. In certain cases, yes. Now, transmissions, they're pretty much sealed. If you've done at least one service up to this point, you're about due for your second service. But if you did one at 50 or 60K, you're not due for another one for another 50 or 60K.
Okay.
Depends on what you do with the truck as well. I mean, if you're pulling a trailer with it, you're going up and over the hills with it all the time, you're putting a lot of stress on that transmission. Another thing I wanted to bring up is that the maintenance schedules that the manufacturers put out there, in my personal opinion, are a guide. They are there to give you some kind of reference associated with what you should be doing with your car at a specific point in the vehicle's life. The unfortunate side to that is everybody drives their vehicle differently, everybody uses it differently, so therefore the needs of the vehicle are going to change based on how it's used. I'm a big proponent in regard to getting the vehicle inspected by somebody you know and trust, and making sure that you're staying on top of the maintenance and the needs of your vehicle. It's not going to be a blanket statement.
Right.
Okay. Speaking of people I can trust, in Highlands Ranch area or South Denver, do you have some people I can go to?
Yeah, we do. In fact, go to coloradoselect.com. Just type that into your URL, into your browser. You'll see a bunch of different facilities listed there. Find the one closest to you. They're all recommended highly. You can go to any one of those guys. We'll vouch for them, use them. Whatever's closest to you, that's where you need to go.
I appreciate it.
Rod, thanks so much for your phone call. With that, we got to go to the news. Last news break, then we'll head back. One more hour of Drive Radio. We'd love to talk to you. Load us up on calls, 303-477-5600, and we'll chat with you when we come back. Again, I'm your host, John Rush, along with Craig Wallace from DIY Auto Repair Shops on KLZ 560, The Source.
Drive Radio is a presentation of Colorado Select Auto Care Centers. The independently owned and operated shops of Colorado Select hold each other accountable for the highest standards of technical expertise, honesty, and professionalism. They all understand that choosing a mechanic is risky business, so Colorado Select was created by this exclusive group of like-minded professionals who are dedicated to raising the level of consumer confidence in Colorado's auto repair industry. Schedule your next oil change at any of the Colorado Select Auto Care Centers heard on Drive Radio, and you'll immediately see the difference. For the complete list of all the member shops in the state, visit drive-radio.com.
Hey, it's Randy Corcoran from The Morning Show. I'm off this weekend to address an annual meeting of Republican women. I'll tell you about it on Monday. You won't want to miss that show. Plus, Bill Kristol from Fox News and The Weekly Standard, and Steve Deace, author of Rules for Patriots, How Conservatives Can Win Again. Zach on traffic and weather, your calls and more Monday, 5 to 8 a.m. It's Wake Up with Randy Corcoran, KLZ 560.
This is the legendary KLZ, AM 560, KLZ HD Denver, and online streaming at 560thesource.com. Since 1922, KLZ Denver.
This is the Blaze Radio News. I'm Greg Moore. With the resignation of the VA Undersecretary of Health, conservative commentator Charles Krauthammer says this administration has a problem holding people accountable. The Blaze Radio's Tom Peace reports.
The resignation of VA Undersecretary for Health Robert Petzl is not pleasing the critics. Petzl, already with plans to retire, conservative commentator Charles Krauthammer says the president never holds any high-level executives in the administration accountable. Krauthammer on Fox News Special Report.
And we have not had a single example of a significant high-level official in any of these scandals. Benghazi, IRS, the eavesdropping with AP, the Rosen scandal, any of these at all. And it looks as if you can simply sail through, that there is zero accountability. This administration loves the word accountability. It has never actually exercised it.
This is news on the Blaze Radio Network.
Everyone is making the switch to the Blaze to make it their source for the truth. Why not make it your source for the truth? Make theblaze.com your homepage for news that the other outlets won't even touch. Subscribe to the Blaze TV at theblaze.com/TV or on Dish Network and get access to original programming like For the Record, the show that exposes what's really going on that the government doesn't want you to know. And Real News, the daily conversation on the topics of the day that matter most. Check out the Blaze Radio Network at theblaze.com/radio with original shows like Buck Sexton, The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson, Pat and Stu, and Jay Severin. Or, if you need something to hold in your hands, subscribe to the Blaze magazine. So basically, anywhere you need to go, you can take the truth with you by taking the Blaze with you. This is the Blaze. truth lives here. So just to recap, anywhere you need to go, you can take the truth with you by taking the Blaze with you. Find out all the ways at theblaze.com.
The Blaze Radio News on KLZ 560 The Source.
The Jason Lewis Show, weeknights from 7 to 10 on KLZ 560 The Source.
Being an expert on general automotive knowledge, what would the correct ignition timing be on a 1955 Bel Air Chevrolet with a 327 cubic inch engine and a 4-barrel carburetor?
It's a trick question.
Watch this.
Because Chevy didn't make a 327 in 55. The 327 didn't come out till 62. And it wasn't offered in the Bel Air with a 4-barrel carb till 64. However, in 1964, the correct ignition timing would be 4 degrees before tap dead center.
Get ready for another hour of Drive Radio, brought to you by Colorado Select Auto Care Centers. Got a question for the experts? Then give them a call, 303-477-5600. Now it's time to pop the hood and get our hands dirty. Drive Radio on KLZ 560 The Source.
All right, thanks for tuning in. We do appreciate it. Line open, 303-477-5600. Give us a call, and we'll get you right on air. First up, though, is Lucas, who's in Lincoln County. Lucas, welcome. What's going on today?
Oh, not too much. How about you guys?
Doing great. Thanks for calling.
Yeah. Hey, there's a fellow there that's working with you that said he's got a 52 Ford shop truck.
Yes.
Is it flathead?
Yes.
And you're using 1540 in it?
I am.
Or?
Yep.
Okay. That answers that question.
Every day, all day long.
Okay. Well, good deal. And
you have an old flathead that you're working on?
No, I've got 2 of them.
Well, good.
Right on.
I've got a 39 LaSalle and a 40 Ford.
Nothing sounds better than a flathead.
Yeah, and I was kind of wondering if that oil was still good for those, 2 vehicles. And I called before, and nobody knew, and my computer locked up. And
no, that's okay.
So
good. You picked a good day to call. Perfect.
Yeah, it worked out good. I've got a glass problem on a sunroof.
Okay.
And I, appreciate any tips I can get. It's in a Pontiac, and it's an aftermarket dealer installed.
Okay.
And I cannot find glass for it.
Is it a pop-up sunroof or is it a slide-back sunroof?
No, it's a pop-up.
It's a pop-up. Okay. And you say you can't find glass for it. The glass guys can't cut you a glass for it, or have you checked that yet?
Well, no, they can't cut it because it's arched.
Okay.
It's got a slight arch to it.
Okay. It's not flat.
Right. It's not flat.
And you probably, since it was dealer installed, you probably have no idea who made the sunroof.
No, and then the dealer is out of business. I mean,
Correct.
He's gone for a long time now because it's in a 85 Fiero.
Okay, my recommendation would be, and this is going to sound funny, but this is how I would handle it. You're going to need to replace the entire roof. So you need to find a roof that dimensionally either is the same or a little larger than what you have now. Even if they have to trim out a tad bit bigger, opening than what you have now, find a sunroof that's, and try to find one that's name brand so that if you ever have a problem again, you can buy parts and pieces. But in your defense, those guys come and go. They're just one of those areas of the industry that is never that stable. Those sunroof companies come and go, and they were really popular back in the 70s and 80s and even early 90s, and since aren't quite as popular because there's so many of them that come in the manufacturers, that come right from the manufacturer now. But that would be my recommendation, is actually find a little bit larger entire window and just put a whole new sunroof in it.
Okay, if I was, I could get one off of stock, probably, Fiero, that had a sunroof in it.
Yeah, as long as it's the same. Keep in mind, if they did a aftermarket window versus the factory, aftermarket sunroof versus the factory sunroof, they won't be one and the same even on the glass.
To John's point, ultimately they could have used that particular sunroof supplier for 6 months and switch suppliers because maybe that supplier went out of business, but you just never know the true answer to those questions.
Right. No, what I was getting at is doing the roof itself, because I can get a glass sunroof for the one that was put in by General Motors.
Right.
but I can't find anything to replace this. So
the question there would be if you can find all of the bracketry and trim pieces to put the factory one back in, or let's say you could find another car with a factory roof that the glass wasn't all that great in, could you take that out and put it into your Fiero? That would be the question.
No, could I take the roof out?
That's what I meant. Could you take the roof out and just swap it over? And that's something you're going to have to do some research on, because I don't know.
Okay.
I wish I knew that one off the top of my head, but I don't. And part of the reason is because I don't know who made the roof that's in it now.
No, I meant the whole roof itself.
Yeah, I know. You're talking take everything out of one car and put it in the other one.
No, I'm talking about taking the whole roof section off and replacing it.
Well, you could do that. That's a lot more work. I would look at just trying to replace the sunroof itself without taking the entire roof and doing it.
Oh, okay.
You could. I mean, you could go to you could find one that even didn't have a roof in it at all and replace the entire roof. But that's the long, expensive, hard way to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're getting to that point, a good body guy could fill in the hole you've got in the roof easily, and then just put a new headliner in it, and you'd be right back in business. That could also be done.
Okay, well, I've talked to a couple of body shops about it, and they didn't really seem too thrilled with the thought.
Oh, you could do that. They can weld a beam underneath that, and give it some support, and weld a new roof in. And a good body guy could make that look fine, and no different than putting a patch panel in that they do all the time.
Yeah, because I don't care about the sunroof.
No, you know what? And I apologize. I don't have all this information in front of me, but I've got a body guy that could probably help you. If you can, get your computer back up and running and send me an email, john@drive-radio.com. I'll get you somebody that could help you with that.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate that.
All right, Lucas. Appreciate you calling.
Take care.
Have a great afternoon. We appreciate it. Let's go to Tom in Fort Collins, who is next. We have a line open, 303-477-5600. Tom, welcome. What's going on today?
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, thank you.
I've got a 2005 Buick Terraza minivan, all-wheel drive.
Okay.
3.5 V6, automatic, of course. And on my heater this winter, when I pull up to a stoplight or something like that, my heat would go cold.
Okay.
And as soon as I started moving again, it would get hot again.
Okay.
I've checked the radiator, it's full, the reservoir is full, the engine's got a little bleeder valve on it, so I made sure there was no airlock inside in the engine. The temperature gauge remains steady, it does not move cold or anything like that.
Okay.
The heater control is not the climate control, it's the manual controls. I've checked the cables for the blend box and things like that, and they all work just the way they're supposed to by the controls. So I'm kind of stumped.
How many miles are on that one?
96,000.
96,000. Well, a couple of different thoughts came to my mind right off the bat, one of which would be a water pump that maybe is just worn to a point where it's just not moving enough coolant at idle, and it's starving the heating system ultimately for that coolant flow to keep you warm at idle. Another possibility would be a restricted heater core.
Yeah.
Where it's just requiring more pressure to keep coolant flowing through it. Either one is a possibility at the mileage you're at. I don't know what the history of the vehicle is, and if you've kept the cooling system flushed regularly on it, or if you've had other cooling system related issues in years past, but certainly some things to look at there.
Okay, yeah, I don't know what the history. We bought it just a couple months ago.
Got it.
When it's doing that, have you had the opportunity to actually open the hood and feel the heater hoses going into the heater core itself to see if they're both hot, or if there's one hot, one's cold, or have you gotten that far yet?
No, and in fact, I did do that, and they do seem to cool off.
Okay.
Sitting in the garage.
And it's probably not a plugged heater core. Craig's, one of Craig's ideas I probably would eliminate. It's probably more along the lines of a flow issue, like he was talking about with the water pump.
I'd heard of that before, and that was kind of one of the things I was wondering about, and that kind of gives me some confirmation. I might have to.
And we've seen. I mean, over the years, you see that the impellers can get corroded, and they get not necessarily worn off because the coolant doesn't wear them off, but they get the coolant gets contaminated. It can have an ill effect on the actual impeller itself. They wear off. They can't push as much fluid as they should, and so it takes RPM to do that, and then they just don't flow as much at idle.
Yep, I've seen that once before. It's been years ago.
Yep, I've not seen it a ton. So I mean, Craig thought of a good one because you don't see it every day, but it does happen.
No,
you certainly don't see it every day, but it's certainly a possibility you can't
eliminate
completely,
right.
Especially at 96,000.
Okay.
Can you? The other thing too that you could quickly check on that to kind of help prove this is, do you have? Because I don't remember that vehicle. Can you pull the radiator cap off of it and look down inside the radiator and see how the flow is going when it's actually running?
I think I probably can.
So you would do that with the cap off.
I can pull the cap off, and
Yep.
I can see fluid right there.
So what you'd want to do is pull the cap off when it's cold, let it start to do its warm-up cycle, and watch and see what the actual coolant does, and if it flows, and then you can actually watch what it does at idle versus what it's doing off idle.
Mm-hmm.
That'll also kind of tell you what's going on.
All right.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
You're very welcome. Thanks for calling in. Line open, 303-477-5600. Paul in Colorado Springs has got a question. Welcome, Paul. What's going on today?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Doing great.
Hey, I just purchased a 1999 Mitsubishi Spider GT.
Okay.
And it's only got 66,000 miles on it, and I mean, excellent condition. The only thing is it doesn't have an owner's manual, so I'm kind of curious on what oil you would recommend I would use in that.
I would have to look that one up, and if you give me, I'll tell you what we could do real quick. We're getting close enough to a break. I'll tell you, I'm going to put you on hold, take a quick break. I'll look it up. What engine's in it real quick?
That's got the, what is that? I think it's a 2-liter.
Okay.
It's a turbo. It's got,
okay.
It's a turbo 2.0, I think, or
okay.
2.0.
Tell you what, hold tight. We're going to take a quick break. When I come back, I'll see what I can find for you.
Okay, great.
All right, Paul, hang tight. We'll be right back. Let's take a quick break. Matt, take us away. John Rush, your host. Drive Radio, KLZ 560, The Source.
Reliability. It's what every driver wants from their vehicle. Regardless of make or model, you want your vehicle to take you where you need to go. Reliability is exactly what Colorado Select Auto Care Centers offer. They've set the standard for excellence in automotive repair and maintenance. Each Colorado Select member currently offers Napa's Peace of Mind warranty, but are now also offering an extended 2-year or 24,000-mile warranty on repair work. You won't find this offer anywhere else. To find a Colorado Select Auto Care Center near you, log on to drive-radio.com or call 303-546-6272.
Grab a Napa bucket for $2.99, and everything you fit in it is 20% off. What can you fit in the bucket? A radiator? No. 10 oil filters and 756 pine tree air fresheners? With some elbow grease, maybe. Get your Napa bucket today and save 20% off everything you pack in it. Conquer the job with Napa Know-How. Some exclusions apply at participating Napa Auto Parts stores while supplies last. Offer expires 5/31/14.
After 30 years of business, Gino's Auto Service is expanding. Hi, this is Jennifer, and my dad owns Gino's Auto Service in Littleton. What does our expansion mean for you? Savings on all our repair and maintenance services. We work on all makes and models, and your satisfaction is always guaranteed. At Gino's, we use genuine Napa parts and are AAA approved. Stop by and see the transformation at Bowles and Platte Canyon, or visit us online at genosautoservice.com. That's genosautoservice.com.
Ever try to buy an air filter and get lost in catalogs and vehicle descriptions? Well, K&N, the inventor of reusable cotton filters, has got the answer to the mess. Just visit knfilters.com and enter your vehicle identification number off your dashboard or car registration, and K&N will show you the filter that fits your car. It's never been easier to buy a K&N, the filter that helps your car run better.
All right, thanks for tuning in today. One line open, 303-477-5600. Paul in the Springs was wanting to know what oil to use in his Spider. Paul, we would recommend, after looking up your specs, you can run either 530 or 1030, but on that turbo, I would run a Mobil 1 530 if it was me.
Well, 1.530, yeah,
Yep.
that's what I was going to plan on doing, but I just wanted to make sure.
Yep, nope, you're on the right track. It calls for either 530 or 1030, but I would run the Mobil 1 in it and do the 530.
Okay, that basically I just drive it in the summertime because it's a convertible, so I won't be putting it out in the winter. But
yeah, no, that's a fun car. That sounds like a good find. Good job.
Oh man, I love it, and it drives so nice, and it's just an awesome car.
What'd you have to give for it, if I can ask?
I ended up paying $4,000 for it.
Oh man, you'll have a lot of
Yeah,
fun for $4,000.
Yeah, I just wanted to get rid of it, and I lucked out. It was the right place, right time, and I'm just to go pink with this thing.
Larry, by the way, just handed me a note, which was a great idea that he just had. Make sure the timing belt's been changed at that because they're known to fail at 60K.
Yeah, it had one done just like I think he said he had it done like 10,000 miles prior.
Perfect.
So.
Okay, well then you should be in great shape. Sounds like you have a lot of fun for $4,000. That'll be the best money you've ever spent.
Oh yeah, I know. I was just like I can't stop smiling.
Yeah, good for you. That's awesome. Well, we're on. If you're on YouTube, you can see us. We're smiling too. That's a pretty good buy for a fun car. You'll have a lot of fun with that. That's awesome.
I'm watching you guys right now on YouTube.
Well, we appreciate that. So there you go. Here we are. I'm John waving. Craig's over here. Thanks for listening and watching. We appreciate that.
Make sure you get a good quality oil filter to go with that oil.
Yeah, great point, Craig. Yeah, in fact, guys, all of you that are listening, you guys are going to run, any type of a. Actually, I'm one that just says if you can buy a platinum filter for your car from Napa, just use that. Period. Just do it that way.
Yeah, I have a 03 4Runner, and I use the Global One 530, and I use the platinum.
There you go.
Napa platinum filter.
Good for you.
Good for you. Good stuff. Well, hey, appreciate it. Thanks for calling and watching, Paul. We appreciate it very much.
You bet.
All right, take care. We enjoy it. And line open 303-477-5600. Give us a call. We'll get you right on air. And Don is up next. Don, welcome. What's going on today?
Hey, hi, John. Hi, Craig. Nice to talk with you guys.
Likewise. Thanks for coming out to the last event we had too, Don. We appreciate the support.
That's a lot of fun. You always learn interesting things, too.
Every time I'm on this show, I learn something. So I learned some stuff today about credit scores from Isaac, and there isn't a weekend that goes by I don't learn something. So I appreciate that very much. That's why I keep doing it.
Yeah, I was real impressed with the Front Range Community College. They do a nice job.
That's a nice facility. Yeah, those of you that haven't been up there and maybe have some kids that maybe want to head that direction, and or maybe yourself, you're looking at maybe doing something different career-wise, etc. That is not limited to just college kids or people right out of high school. They've got a great program, some good instructors, and a really, really nice facility.
Yeah, I was amazed at the different modules they had, the different systems on the cars. They were mounted on boards.
Yep, really nice way of teaching. It did a great job. Yeah, really was. That was a fun event. So we'll be back there again next year. So we had a lot of fun there.
Oh yeah. My question, John, is I'm putting together that Jeep transmission, T96, and I've got a new rear oil seal for it. And it's leather on the inside. I've never used it. I'm old, but I'm not that old.
Yeah, they were common back in the day. I don't like using them because typically they won't stay. Have you tried to find a neoprene seal instead?
Well, I might try to.
I would if I were you.
I think you can find one for it.
Yeah.
I had a little bit of trouble finding this one, so I thought I was lucky to get it. But
I mean, if you have to run that one, you can. And the rule of thumb on that is soak it in oil before you put it in.
That was my question. You soak it in transmission oil or
whatever?
Oil?
It doesn't matter. Any kind of oil, just as long as you get it good and lubricated. Soft is what you want.
Yeah.
Get that leather.
But yeah, people don't realize that in the old days, that's what all seals were made out of. That's why all the cars leaked, because they were all made out of leather seals and nothing stayed.
Yeah, it's a Chicago rawhide seal, but
yeah.
I was surprised to see leather. Do you soak it for a couple of hours or overnight or?
Oh, in your case, you've got time. Overnight's not going to hurt anything. I mean, it's going to get in oil once it gets in there anyways, but you just don't want it to be dry when you put it in.
Right. Sure.
But here's a tip, too, for all of you that have some old cars and you're looking at doing things. Go down to your Napa store, take the seal. They can take some measurements, inside, outside diameter, etc., and probably match that seal up, because in your world, even if the thickness of the seal isn't quite right, you have room to go thicker or thinner. That's not a big issue as long as your diameters are correct.
Sure. Oh, I might do that. I can do that easy enough.
That's what I would do. I would try to find a neoprene seal for it if you can.
That might be the better way to go, huh?
So 2 things you need to make sure of on that, and I should have talked this, but when we were on remote, I had a bunch of technical difficulties early on. I was gonna chat with you. So a couple of things you need to make sure you do on that to make sure that it seals up well on redoing the transmission. So if you've not got it all back together, if you have some of this, you can't do now. But as you're putting that particular transmission back together, on the counter shaft that goes through the bottom,
yes,
make sure you put some sealant, and we used to use the old Formagasket on them. Put some Formagasket inside the holes where the shaft goes in. That helps seal up the case.
Okay, I can do that.
Okay, so do that. That's the big one. The biggest thing on that one, too, is you got to make sure that the main shaft is shimmed properly to make sure that it doesn't pop out of second gear.
Ah.
And there's a trick to that. You want to have about 10 to 20 thousandths of clearance between the synchronizing ring and the actual gear itself. When everything is installed and the transfer case is on, so that all of the shaft is pushed forward that way, if you have too much clearance in there, it'll pop out a second.
Okay, so maintain close clearance then. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, not too close, or you'll burn the synchro up. But you need enough. You want enough to where it doesn't burn it up, but not so loose that it pops out of gear.
Yeah, that makes sense. I appreciate that tip, John. I'll be careful about
If you need any help on that, send me some pictures or something, and I'll help you walk through it.
All right, good on you.
Okay, Don.
That. Thanks an awful
You bet. You appreciate it so much, and thanks for all your support. Let's go to Chad, who's next. We got a line open, 303-477-5600. Chad, welcome. What's going on today?
Yeah, I'd like to know if you have to change a timing chain in an ES350 Lexus.
Say that vehicle again. I missed that.
I'd like to know if you have to change a timing chain at a certain mileage on a ES350 Lexus.
Oh, no, you would not have to on that.
You don't have to change it?
No, there is no mileage interval for that. And I would tell you that that's a vehicle you could run 300,000 miles on the same chain without too much trouble. I would not lose any sleep over the timing chain in that vehicle.
Okay, one other quick question. I've heard you, I got in on the tail end of it, talking about the gas. It's bad, and gas you should use. Like I think you mentioned some of the fast food places like that.
Yes, we talked about that last week. Yes, definitely.
Well, which one do you say you should use?
We are a strong proponent of using the top tier rated fuels, which in our area are sold by Shell, Conoco, Phillips 66, and now Costco.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Appreciate the phone call. Yeah, Costco was added to that list. I don't know. I want to say first of the year or so. Dorsey sent me some articles on that way back when, and I think that's about when they were doing that. And
I think the last time I looked at the board, they had added Costco, and I was surprised.
Okay, so here's another suggestion Dorsey just sent in for the fellow. We've got two suggestions for the sunroof guy. So if you're still listening, I believe that was Lucas. So Lucas, if you're still listening, Dorsey suggests Showtime Auto Glass. They're at 71st and Federal, not too far from where Craig's at. So that's one place you can call. And then we had another caller call in and say Classic Soft Trim. They're at 2675 South Santa Fe Drive. They also work on factory sunroofs, factory T-tops, etc., and they might be able to help you find an actual glass for that also. So before you start worrying about cutting out the roof and doing all sorts of welding and all sorts of things along those lines, go ahead and try one of those two and see what happens. So yeah, Dorsey, Paula, thank you guys for listening and calling in with that. Hey, Paula and Dorsey, if you can tell us what's going on at the Arvada Fire Department over there by your shop. There's supposed to be a big car show or something going on. We had some listeners calling in wanting to know what's going on. If you could tell us, that would be great. So, call us, let us know. We'll put you on air however you want to work that. Line open, 303-477-5600 is our phone number. We'd love to chat with you. I'm out of breath. What else have we missed here today?
I can't imagine anything that we've missed.
We've done a lot of talking. So
I think it's up to our callers to figure out what we missed.
Yeah, so call us. We'd love to hear from you, 303-477-5600. We talked a lot early on about buying new cars, what happens when you're in the dealership, what to expect. We're trying to get you to avoid all of that by just calling Isaac up in the first place. But some of you that end up there, we've got a few more tips that we'll talk about as we go through the show. And if I have time today, we were also going to talk about fuel-efficient cars. I wanted to get in this with Isaac, but we just didn't have time today. We talked about it briefly on the Thursday show we did with Isaac. Be careful when you're making decisions buying a car based on fuel economy only.
I would agree with that.
Reason being is, and Isaac proved this when we were on air the last time together on our Thursday show at Haystack, which, by the way, we're on Haystack, Colorado. We'll be on again this coming Thursday. We do that every other Thursday. I would encourage you to listen in. Tell your friends and family to listen in. We're on from 4 to 5 p.m. I'm not sure yet what our topics will be this week because I haven't gotten that far ahead. Typically I know, but we'll do something. I'm not sure exactly what, but we'll have something special that we'll do. But that's a great show. We enjoy it. Scott Watley is our partner on Haystack Help. Great show. Listen to that in the afternoon. Scott's also on in the mornings before our show at 7 o'clock in the morning. He does the Sportsman Show. They talk about all sorts of outdoor gear, hunting, fishing, you name it. Great. And Scott's a great guy, by the way. We've really had a great partnership with him and have enjoyed that. So, again, listen to us on Haystack, Colorado, or Haystack Help, rather. It's at 4 to 5 p.m. on Thursdays, and we'll be there this coming Thursday. But I was going to mention that, we talked with Isaac last time he was on that show with us, and he had somebody that came to him, wanted to buy a high mileage, high fuel mileage car, 30-plus miles to the gallon car, because this particular gal thought she drove a lot of miles and she wanted to save money on the cost of fuel. Well, when Isaac actually figured out exactly how many miles a year she drove, it ended up being under 10,000 miles, and for what she was going to spend in additional money to buy the particular car she wanted, it didn't make any sense.
20 years later, it would.
Exactly. So you've got to do your math to determine whether or not those decisions really pay off. So we'll talk more about some of that. We're going to come back and talk to Paul. He's got a question on some oil. We'll be right back right after these messages. Don't go away. I'm your host, John Rush. We have a line open, 303-477-5600, KLZ 560, The Source.
Cleaning out the garage and cleaning up the yard means spring cleaning. Don't forget to clean up your car. Arvada West Auto sees a need in vehicles for spring maintenance after a cold, snowy winter takes its toll on your vehicle. We want to help you keep safe and your car running smoothly. Our ANSI certified technicians are experts at what they do. Ask us about our 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty. Let us and the power of Napa Auto Care keep you on the road. Call Arvada West Auto 303-422-1065. Stop by 11752 West 64th Avenue or visit us on the web at arvadawestautoandtruck.com, where every question is important. See you soon.
Need a one-stop auto repair solution in Boulder? At John's 4x4 Center, they service and maintain more than just 4x4s. From big trucks to diesel pickups, their team of service specialists and technicians have the computer diagnostics, tools, and expertise to service and repair any make or model. They combine their skills with integrity, giving you the best service in the industry. From preventative maintenance to major repairs, you can trust your vehicle to John's 4x4. Located on Arapahoe Road, just east of 63rd, behind Carpet 1. They're open Monday through Friday, 7:30 until 5:30, with convenient shuttle service and after-hours drop. If you're ready to form a solid relationship with an auto repair shop, the new owners at John's 4x4 Center are committed to providing the personal and professional service you're looking for. Give them a call at 303-449-2640. Check them out on the web or follow them on Facebook at johns4x4.com.
Have you ever wished there was a place you could take your car, put it on a lift, and work on it yourself? My name is Craig Wallace, owner of DIY Auto Repair Shops. We have the lift, the tools, and the expertise. We offer a multi-tier program that allows you to do it yourself, technically assisted, or we can fix it for you. Check us out online at DIYAutoRepairShops.com or give us a call at 303-429-4000. Again, that's 303-429-4000. Let us know you heard about DIY on Drive Radio, and you'll receive 50% off your first DIY hour. We look forward to helping you succeed repairing and maintaining your car.
Reliability. It's what every driver wants from their vehicle. Regardless of make or model, you want your vehicle to take you where you need to go. Reliability is exactly what the Colorado Select Auto Care Centers offer. They've set the standard for excellence in automotive repair and maintenance. Each member offers Napa Auto Care Peace of Mind Warranty, along with the highest level of customer service and integrity. To find a Colorado Select Auto Care Center near you, log on to drive-radio.com or call 303-546-NAPA.
There we go. Now I'm on. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it very much. Thanks for tuning in. As soon as somebody drops off, give us a call. The lines are full, 303-477-5600, so we'll run through these as quickly as we can. Paul, welcome. What's going on today?
Yes, we were down at Lake Powell a couple weeks ago, maintenance on a big houseboat, and when on the docks, some of the maintenance guys that repair houseboats down there saw that we had some batteries we were lugging back, and he said, have you ever heard of Thermoil? Thermoil. He said they've been using it, and he says, well, I'm not selling it to you because it's only $12 a bottle. Because we have 10 6 volts for our batteries for our inverter and 5 12 volts for our motors and generator.
Okay.
And Yeah, he says they're getting double the life of the batteries because on the 6-volters, it's like every 2, possibly 3 years we get, and then we have to replace them. And he said they're doubling the life with this thermoil. I Googled it.
Yeah, see that. So it's basically a
it puts a topping on top of the.
I see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never heard. It's the first time I've ever heard of it.
Yeah, that was the first time we heard of it. I thought, I got 8 batteries for cars and boats and et cetera, et cetera. He said it put the thin film layer on the cells, keeps them from evaporating. That was the demister part, and then I have a lot of electronic desulfonators.
Yeah.
Just to keep my batteries going, and they said this is also a battery desulfonator.
I see that.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's this all about? So I think for $12 I'm going to try it.
Yeah, I think you've got me on to where at least I think I'm going to send a email, make a phone call, and a lot of times these companies will send us some samples to try out and kind of see how they work, and then we can talk about it on the show, and I'm more than willing to do that.
Appreciate it.
And if you do the same thing, report back to us.
That'd be great. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, their website says where you can get it locally, I think. Otherwise, I'll buy it mail order.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you can get it. I'm clicking on it now. I think you can get it locally, or it looks to me like you can order it right off of their website if you want to. So, no, I'd be more than willing to do that. And I think for the listeners out there too, if you use it, give us back some feedback on how it works, and we'll just do a little case study. I mean, I'm like you, with as big a fleet as I have. I've got more I spend more money on batteries than I do a lot of things. So anything I can do to reduce my cost on that, I'd love to.
Yeah, great. Yeah, with my desulfonators, I got about 4 of them. And I just keep my batteries all winter that I'm using on those, and then try to use the ones I'm using in town.
That's awesome.
Just get them in for a week or 2 and desulfonate them.
That's awesome. That's a great tip. I will definitely look into that and see what we can determine. Paul, you give us a great idea.
Great.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, and that's what I love about the show. Even as a host, I don't leave this show any week without learning something.
I would agree with that. Every time I've been on the show, or any time I've been listening, I learned something new.
It's valuable. Those of you that aren't listening need to, of course, if you're not listening, you're not hearing this, but those of you that are, tell your friends to listen. You'll learn more things on this show, ways to save money, just different things on how to maintain your vehicle. Here's an example of batteries, and by the way, this can apply to tractors and ATVs and snowmobiles and you name it. I mean, there's so many things that have wet batteries in them nowadays that, yeah, anything we can get on little tips and tricks, we'll definitely check it out and see what we can do. So line open, 303-477-5600 is our number. Ron in Denver is next. Ron, welcome.
Hey there. How's it going?
Good. What can we do for you, Ron?
I have a 2008 Toyota Tundra Crewmax 4-wheel drive, and it's got the sliding rear window that goes up and down.
Okay.
And I drive down the street, put that down, and it sounds like my bed's squeaking. I can't tell if it's...
It probably is.
Good possibility.
A lot of them do.
How do you deal with that?
Well, keep in mind, the bed, and this is for everybody listening, pickup truck beds are mounted solid to the frame. There is no cushion, there's no body mounts. Most folks forget this, but all bodies that are mounted on a frame, so body-on-frame car has what we call body mounts. So they're rubber, typically, pieces of rubber, round, that are placed in between the body and the frame, and they've typically got a shaft in the middle of them to keep things stable in case the body mount goes bad. But the cab is mounted on rubber. The bed is not. So the only way to maybe cure that would be to loosen up your bed bolts, then take and put some lubricant in between the bed where it attaches to the frame and the bolts, and see if you can get that squeak, to go away. But that's very, very common.
Okay.
And sometimes you can just go around to the bed bolts and just snug them down a little bit. Sometimes you can cure it for a period of time, but it's usually a maintenance point on a truck.
Right. The other thing you could try is just pull the bed, that one's easy. You can just take a big Torx, pull the bed bolts out, lube them up real good, stick them back in, and see if that doesn't help.
Yep.
Okay, I'll do it.
But that's very, very common because, and yeah, to your point, most people never hear it because they don't have that sliding window.
Right. Okay, well, thank you for your help.
You're very welcome. Thanks for calling in. We appreciate it. Let's go to Dale in Fort Lupton. One line open, 303-477-5600. What's going on, Dale?
Hey, fellas. I had a question a few months ago. You guys were talking about the Cruise diesel option. You said back then you thought it was a $2,500 upgrade. and about 50+ miles to the gallon. Is that still hold?
That's correct. Yeah, no, that's about what they're averaging on the price, the price difference. They're actually Chevrolet is losing money selling that car, and I think they're doing it more as a kind of a market test to see where they could be with some of the small, diesel, that diesel market, just to see where they're going to be and how successful they're going to be. But they're losing money at that price. I've talked to the engineer that was the head engineer behind the design of that car, especially the powertrain in it. And yeah, that costs them more money than the $2,500 they're getting out of it for the option.
Okay, that sounds like an excellent deal to get.
I think, and last I checked, I'd have to check with my son because he's actually done more research on this than I have. Demand has been pretty good for those. I don't know if they've caught back up or if there's actually still a waiting list on getting them. For a while, there was a waiting list on trying to buy them.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So you'd have to check with one of your local, Chevy dealers, or call. Honestly, the best person to call on that's call Isaac, our broker. He's the best guy to talk to. He could, he'd know exactly who to call, figure out whether there's any inventory, all of that. His number is 303-475-1462.
Okay.
And he'll know even quicker than I will what the supply chain is like on that vehicle.
Okay. Alrighty.
But it's a fantastic vehicle, by the way. That's one of my choice, vehicles of choice. If you're looking for high mileage, not going through all the hybrid stuff, it's 50+ miles to the gallon. It's tough to beat.
Yeah, I've been impressed with the gas version of it anyway, but the diesel just sounds even better.
The diesel is gonna be a very, very nice vehicle.
All right, well, I appreciate it.
Thanks, Dale. Appreciate the phone call, and I think George is next. George, welcome. What's going on today?
Well, John, I have a question for you. Now,
sure.
What's your opinion on this? I have a 1965 Thunderbird, Ford Thunderbird.
Okay.
That has been parked for a number of years, over 10 years.
Okay.
Now, it's a beautiful car, and the interior is good. The outside, a few rust spots, but not bad.
Okay.
Well, I've been debating whether to work on this thing and get it running, or to just sell it as it is.
Ooh. Well, okay. First things first. If you were to restore it, how long do you think you'd keep it?
Well, probably as long as I live. And,
okay.
Yeah, I probably would keep it.
Okay. Then I think I think you've already answered your own question. If it's something that's got enough sentimental value to you to be able to fix it, keep driving it from that point on and have it until you die and pass it down to a family member, then I definitely would go ahead and go through the process of having it restored and keep it in the family, and it'd be a great, fantastic vehicle for that.
But otherwise, you probably would sell it as is, huh?
Yeah, you're not going to. Those aren't bringing enough money fixed up to justify fixing it and then selling it. They're not. In fact, and I'm sorry for all of you out there that are listening to this and that might take offense to this. There isn't a single car on the planet, except for the very, very, very unique exotics, that you can put all the money into restoration and get the money back out of it when it comes time to sell. It's a rarity to put all the money, because it takes literally tens and in some cases hundreds of thousands of dollars to restore a car properly, and very few cars will bring that kind of money to get it back out of it. And the more the car costs on the resale market, the more it costs to get it fixed up. Or restored, I should say. So now, again, there are a few exceptions to that, but not many, and this is not one of those exceptions. This car, that car, even though it had great nostalgia, people like them, etc., they're not bringing the big dollars that people back then even thought they would bring as time went by.
Yeah.
Okay, so that car you will definitely not get your money out of once you sell it. But if that's not the case, if that isn't an issue, you're just going to fix the car up, keep it in the family, enjoy it, drive it, have fun with it, it doesn't matter anyways.
Yeah, true. All right, John. And can I ask you one more question?
You sure can. You're welcome. Yeah, you bet.
Talking to Chevrolet Trailblazer.
Yes.
You know that little where it gives you what direction you're going, either north or south or whatever?
Yes.
Also
your
has
compass.
The temperature.
Yep.
Good.
Yep.
Temperature part went out.
Okay. You can buy that mirror, by the way, from the aftermarket. There's several of them out there that make a replacement mirror for that. Just go online, Google it, you'll find them. I did one in my father-in-law's Continental not long ago where we replaced his. It's not a hard thing to do. It's a plug-and-play sort of a thing, and just reset the compass when you're done, and off you go. That's the easiest way to fix that.
About what is the cost on that?
You know, I think in his case, we didn't pay more than $150 or so for the mirror.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
I see. Okay, great.
Okay, and that was the easiest thing to do. It's not worth taking it off, trying to fix it and all that. Just buy a mirror and put on it.
That's true. Great. Okay.
All right, George. Thanks so much for the phone call. I appreciate it. And yeah, I tried not to step on toes on the restoration side but I'm just being honest. If you're going to buy a car, restore it, and sell it, there's very few cars unless you can do all of the work yourself. I should have rephrased that. If you're going to pay to have somebody restore it, it's hard to recoup all that money.
Very much so.
If you're doing it yourself, yeah, you might be able to get some of your money back out of it, and you probably will, but you won't get your time.
Definitely not.
And time is money. So even in that case, if you factor in your time, you're not getting all of your value back out of it. But that's not the reason why a lot of people do things. And I'm not knocking anybody that does that. I love old cars. I love the restorations. You know, I did tons of projects over the years. Craig knows that firsthand. You'll never stop somebody from doing them. It's just you can't do it with having the end in mind. I'm going to sell this car and make money.
Right.
It doesn't work that way. Rarely does that happen. So, you know, you might take an old Tucker or something that's unique like that and be able to restore and get all the money back out of it, but that's a rarity. Tell you what, Matt, let's take a quick break. We have one line open. 303-477-5600 is our number. Call us. We'll get you right in that one line. It is open. Tom and Parker with your 06 Ram diesel. Hang tight. We'll be right back with you. And Michael's got a question on synthetic oil. I'm your host, John Rush. Drive Radio, KLZ 560, The Source.
Reliability. It's what every driver wants from their vehicle. Regardless of make or model, you want your vehicle to take you where you need to go. Reliability is exactly what the Colorado Select Auto Care Centers offer. They've set the standard for excellence in automotive repair and maintenance. Each member offers Napa Auto Care Peace of Mind Warranty, along with the highest level of customer service and integrity. To find a Colorado Select Auto Care Center near you, log on to drive-radio.com or call 303-546-NAPA.
You put up with enough squealers. An annoying coworker? Squealer. Your kids fighting? Squealers. And that rat, Billy Parker, in the 5th grade. Big time squealer. So don't take squealing from your brakes. Get up to a $50 rebate Visa card on qualifying brake purchases. $50. Conquer the job with Napa Know-How. At participating Napa Auto Parts stores. Offer expires 5/31/14.
Having transmission problems? Stop by Larry's Automotive today. We're your only Colorado Select Auto Care in North Denver that also specializes in automatic and manual transmissions. We're a family-owned small business taking care of your family-owned fleet of cars, trucks, and SUVs since 1994. We specialize in transmission and drivetrain problems and offer a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty. We're also an ATRA member. Call us at 303-427-2108 for an appointment or find us on the web at coloradoselect.com. Larry's Automotive, a proud member of Colorado Select Auto Care.
I'm going to teach you right now how to find a good, honest mechanic. Ask about the warranty. Their warranty will tell you everything you need to know because their warranty is their word. And Colorado Select Auto Care Centers all offer the best warranty in the state. 3 years, 36,000 miles on every repair. Always select a Colorado Select Auto Care Center at coloradoselect.org. 3 years, 36,000 miles. That's all you need to know.
Well, Matt's playing some good music for us there.
Yeah, it's a great song.
Good job, Matt. Thank you. Appreciate it. Last segment, Drive Radio. We got about 15 minutes, not even quite 15 minutes left. So give us a call as soon as somebody drops off. We'll get you right on air. One line open is all somebody called real quick. Dropped off, call us. We'll get you right on air. 303-477-5600. Tom in Parker is up next. Tom, welcome.
Hi. I've got a 2006 Dodge Ram diesel, 5.9 liter Cummins turbo diesel.
Okay.
And it started recently winding higher RPMs before it shifts into second gear.
Okay.
You know what that might be?
Any check engine light, any indicators that there's a problem?
None at all.
Mileage?
240,000.
Tranny's probably getting bad.
Tranny was rebuilt.
How long ago?
About a year ago.
Okay. And so probably not that many, well, whatever you do in a year's mileage in a year. So what, 15, 20,000 or so?
Yeah.
I would get it to someone and have them check to see if there are any transmission-related codes.
Yeah. It still sounds to me like the transmission's slipping is what would be my guess.
The description you gave is almost a perfect indicator.
Yep. Yeah, and that's why I typically would have said, yeah, with that kind of miles, go put a transmission in it. But if you've done one already, but that just because it's been done doesn't mean that it doesn't still have a problem.
Yeah, replace the torque converter or flywheel.
Yeah, and typically, a torque converter won't give you the type of problem you're having now. When they start having on that diesel, on that particular vehicle, so everybody else listening, close your ears because this is really more for this diesel versus some of the other automatic transmissions. When that one starts to go bad, that's exactly what happens. As the clutch packs get thin, the shift points go up. It takes more pressure to get everything applied to shift because of all the torque coming out of the diesel, and that's exactly what you're encountering.
Well, with it being rebuilt, should it be doing that?
Shouldn't be that soon. I mean, did they do a rebuild, reman? Did they put heavy-duty clutches in it? Do you know what they did when they did it?
They rebuilt the whole thing. I asked them to, because I looked at putting a better transmission in.
Right.
And they said they'd make it just as heavy-duty as a Allison or...
Right, which, by the way, that transmission will never be. I don't care what they put inside of it, and guys will argue with me on this, but it'll never be an Allison. I don't care what they do to it. It wasn't to begin with, and it's not going to be. That's like saying, well, I'm going to take this apple and make it into an orange. It's not. They're two different things. They were built completely off of different platforms from the get-go. It'll never be as heavy as an Allison no matter what they do to it. But aside from that, here's what I want you to do. Call Larry's Automotive during the week and talk to Jeff. Just call Larry, talk to Jeff. I'm going to put you on hold so you can get their number. Call Jeff. He does those all the time. He can tell you exactly what to look for, what he can inspect, and how he can help you out with it.
Okay, and if it's been rebuilt, would there be something else other than...
I doubt it, and that's why I want you to call Jeff. He could actually go through it specifically, even ask you some other questions that I'm not to kind of pinpoint what's going on. But my gut feeling is somebody with a scan tool is probably going to have to get it, look at it, scan it, drive it, see what's going on, what are the shift points doing, and maybe even do some manual checking of pressures to see what's up.
And if there's still any warranty remaining from your previous transmission rebuilder,
correct.
You probably got to go have this conversation with him.
Yeah, but in this case, since you're having this issue, I'd get a second opinion prior to getting that done, so you know what you're up against.
Arm yourself.
That's right.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to put you on hold. Larry will talk to you, get you Jeff's number. You can call him during the week and get all that taken care of. Let's go to Michael, who is up next. Michael, welcome. What's going on today?
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Doing great. Thanks for calling us.
Hey, 92 Corolla, that 1.6 motor, it's got like 68,000 on it. Is that all right to run that full synthetic in?
Sure. Yep. It's all right to run synthetic in anything you want to run it in.
Oh, well, you was talking about flat tappet cams and that. So
that's for the older stuff. You know, we're talking about vehicles that are pre-87 for the most part, pre-88, somewhere in that neighborhood. So yeah, no, you'd be fine.
So I got an 04 Crown Vic. I think it's got like 127.
Yeah, put synthetic in that too.
Yeah, I have been. I listened to that guy that's on KOA as a car show every Friday. He was saying you shouldn't on them older cars, and I'm like, man, you're a talk show host.
Yeah, he's not right. There's nothing. And again, I'm going to go out to the plant. Actual oil manufacturer here in another week. A week from Tuesday. Actually, I'm going out. I said Monday. I meant Tuesday. So a week from Tuesday, I'm going out. Day after Memorial Day. Going to tour the plant, talk to the engineers, and I'll bring back the real skinny from the engineers when I get back. But I can just tell you from being in the business as long as I've been, if that vehicle was going to have a problem before synthetic oil, it was there anyway. So the synthetic oil did not cause whatever problem happened from somebody putting synthetic in.
How long has AMSOIL been around?
Correct.
Yeah, I've been running it, I don't know, in the Crown Vic for 10,000 miles and about 5,000 in that Toyota.
Yeah.
Gas mileage went up and that. I like it. I mean,
it's the only way to go.
Hey, on the filters with Wix, do they only make one kind, or is there a premium on the Wix?
That's a good question. I am not, I know Wix makes all of Napa's filters, but I am not a Wix filter expert, so I don't know. Let me look here real quick and see if I can answer that. I don't know if they make I know they make a premium line in other brands like Napa, because Napa's gold or their platinum filter is a Wix filter, so I would guess that Wix has to. I just don't know enough about their product to tell you where to buy it.
Yeah, I went to, I don't know, maybe I forget one of the brand name stores. I just asked for a Wix filter for both of my cars, and that's what they gave me. And
I didn't bother to ask if there was a premium or a low or whatever.
I would venture to guess there is, but again, that is one area I am not a Wix filter expert. I'm a Napa filter expert, but I'm not a Wix filter expert.
The only comment I can make to this is that through O'Reilly's carries the Wix brand.
And I just figured it out. They do. They make 3. I just figured it out. Sorry, just got online. They make a ProTech, which is the normal everyday filter. They make their Wix filter, which is for severe driving, so that's their middle grade filter.
Right.
And they make an XP, which is their platinum type filter.
Got it.
Oh, okay.
So yes, they make 3 different filters, just like I figured they would have.
Okay, so if I just asked for the Wix, I probably got the mid-grade when you...
Yeah, you probably did. You need the XP, really, if you're going to extend the intervals and run synthetic oil.
5,000 miles, is that too long?
No, you can go longer than that on both those vehicles, but if you've got the standard filter, change it at that and then extend it after you get a better filter.
How long should I go, you think?
You can go on those 2 vehicles, you could go 7,000 miles easy.
Is that right?
I mean, now, if you start getting into oil samples and doing testing on the oil at that point, you could even potentially go further, but I don't recommend it unless you've actually gone through the oil sampling to determine what the wear is like.
No, man, that gives me something to do a couple times a year.
There you go. There you have it. Michael, thanks for calling in. We appreciate it very much. Line open, 303-477-5600. We can get 1 or 2 calls in before we end the show. Alan is next. Alan, welcome. What's going on today?
Yeah, I've got a Chrysler, an 08 Chrysler Aspen, and I'm hearing this very loud clicking noise in the passenger side rear of the vehicle there.
Okay.
Is that like a fan under there or something, or do you know what would cause that?
It's a darn good question. I can't say I've worked on many of the Aspens.
Same as a Durango, basically.
Yeah, and there could be some load leveling devices and things like that back there.
They did. You know what they did? They had, I believe, the Aspens did have air suspension in the rear.
There could be some relays associated with the compressor and some other things going on. You're not seeing any fault messages or anything on your dash, right?
No, definitely not.
Okay.
It just that it's intermittent. I thought maybe it was a fan or something, but even sometimes turning off the fan and everything doesn't change it.
Interesting.
Yeah, but whenever I turn the ignition on, it makes this loud clicking.
Yeah, one way you could tell real quick is just and it's a nice enough afternoon, crawling underneath there, and if you had a flashlight, great, but you probably won't need it, and just see if it's got regular springs or if it's got an actual airbag type of a system back there, even air tubes going into the shocks, and that'll tell you whether there's an air suspension on it or not.
Okay.
I believe there is.
I think there's load leveling on that.
I think so.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think that was one of the things that Aspen had different than a regular Durango.
Okay.
Which made him by the way, that was a pretty neat vehicle, actually. The Aspens were good. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. It's very nice.
Yeah, no, they're a great vehicle, and of course they've dropped that now, but yeah, they're a great vehicle. So yeah, most definitely. So yeah, check that out and see what happens.
Okay, great.
All right, Alan, appreciate it. Yeah, and a lot of those. So those of you listening, we're asking why it has air suspension because that may be the noise he's hearing to get things pumped back up. And as time goes by, those compressors get a little looser, and they can tend to get a little bit noisier, and that's where some of that stuff comes from. So it just happens. All right, last call of the day is going to be Randy. Randy, welcome. What's going on today?
I just heard you guys talking about the different levels of oil filters, so I got a question about different levels of air filters. Sometimes I'll buy Toyota brand, sometimes I'll buy a different brand at the parts store, and it seems like, to me, that they're identical and they're all made at the same place.
On paper elements, that's pretty much true. There's not a lot of difference on paper elements. What I would recommend, and of course, I'm going to go back to my sponsor, K&N, if you're keeping a car long enough to change filters, on a pretty routine basis, just put a cleanable element filter in it from K&N, save money, and you'll get better performance, etc. It's the only way to go. And it is a better quality filter.
I just wondered if there's a big difference between those standard filters.
There really isn't.
There is not.
In fact, Toyota does not manufacture their own air filters.
They don't.
Somebody else does it for them. And in a lot of cases, you're absolutely right on the money as far as them looking alike, being alike. They could very easily have come off the same shelf.
That's right.
That's exactly what I was.
And by the way, Wix, who we just talked about a minute ago, is a huge manufacturer for filters along with some other companies. But and again, I'm not trying to play to try to steer anybody in a certain direction, but K&N, if you're keeping a vehicle long enough to where you're needing to put air filters in it, yes, by all means, put a K&N in it. You'll never put another filter in it after that. It's cleanable. You're saving money. You're saving time. You're saving, the environment. Because the other thing about the K&N is you can go a lot further on actually cleaning it and changing that out, and you're worrying about how dirty it is than you can a regular paper element. Because they'll work dirtier and still be as efficient than a paper element cleaner will be.
Agreed.
Okay, thanks.
So they're the only way to go. I mean, I can't talk highly enough about K&N. And again, they're one of our great sponsors here on Drive Radio. But K&N, their products are fabulous. You won't find a better filtration product on the market. I've got a bunch of YouTube videos up. If you've got any question on how K&N does their stuff, what their facility looks like, what their R&D facility looks like, how they determine how everything gets put together, etc., go watch our YouTube videos. I know for the average lay guy, they're probably a little boring, but those of you that are the engineer types that really want to know what goes into a product and how it works, how it's made, etc., I've gotten a tour of the entire facility, the plant, the R&D, the guys that are behind it, who you call in the warranty department. It's all there. I think I've got 15 different videos for K&N on our YouTube channel. So go to youtube.com. Go to the browser top, the search bar at the top, type in Drive Radio, all one word. You'll find all those videos, and it's fascinating the way they do their stuff. I can't recommend them highly enough. They do a great job, great partner for us, and they build some of the best aftermarket products on the planet, bar none.
And you will find no one to stand behind an air filter like K&N does.
Nobody. Behind a product like
Period.
K&N does,
Absolutely.
period. Not even air filters, but just their product, period. Superb, fantastic. Won't be any better. So, guys, with that, we're going to have to close out this show. We're going to be back next week again. I'm going to have Paul Leuenberger with us next week from Chrome Insurance, talking about insurance and all sorts of other things. It's Memorial Day weekend. Everybody be safe. If you're not going to be around and you're traveling, please stay safe. Craig Wallace, DIY Auto Repair Shops, thanks for coming down and helping us out. Appreciate it.
John, I've had a lot of fun today.
It's a blast. Isaac Bouchard, who was here earlier, we want to thank him. All of our sponsors, everybody that comes on to make this show happen. Larry Unger from the other side of the glass, our producer, and our engineer, Matt. Thanks, guys, so much. Been a great day. We appreciate it. We'll be back next week. Same time, same place. God bless. I'm your host, John Rush, Drive Radio.